All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Layer 13, as we are about to get underway for a 250-lap affair here at the 1 mile fictional Eagle Rock Oval in this game. Real quickly, let's look at some of the drivers who we're anticipating to see starting today's race. One of them will be the number 11 of Duke 7390. We'll also have Taysbot 44, last week's winner at Daytona and your current points leader. Savage Speeder 88 is back in that number 88 tracker. Chevrolet PRD Black is in the number 9 tracker machine. Link the Racer is in the number 7 Bandit. Chevrolet Royally Stoned is in the number 77. Chevrolet Quinibo is in the CVS Health Pharmacy 56 Toyota Camry. Lear is in the 45 Xfinity Mobile Camry. Boss Racer Pro is in the 67 Robin Hood Camry. Visible Rocket is in the 00 Camaro. Waterfire is in the 97 Camry. Hockey 2487 is in the 31 Camry. Gin 3LS79 is in the 79 Camry. Taylor Weiler is in the 87 Go Daddy Camry. SRD Shredder is in the number 10 British Mustang. Dawson 14 is in the number 96 CVS Camry. Ghost Reaper 617 is our last driver that we are anticipating to run tonight. He is in the number 27 Monster Camry. Not Camry, Mustang. So only 2 Mustangs in a field filled with Camry, well, 3 Mustangs in a field filled with Camaros and Camrys today. We're just staying by, waiting for them to get onto the track properly. Once they load onto the circuit, we are anticipating that everyone is going to end up driving backwards real quickly, jumping into the pit lane to try and get brand new tires on. We anticipate after that they will line up on the back straightaway, 2x2 style, and then we'll get racing shortly afterwards. So proper racing is still a little ways off. Real quickly, let's also go ahead and look over the championship point standings as they are right now. While there are 36 drivers registered in the field, I'm only going to go through the drivers who, at this point, have actually earned points in the season. There was an all-star race that took place just before the month started, just a little bit before the year started, where points were awarded to the top 10 finishers. So that is why the finishing order at Daytona is not the same as the current point standings. There have been points already given out for the all-star race. So, starting in the, I'm going to zoom out just a bit there. Starting in the 21st position in points is Aixiv. He has 3 points exactly. 20th is Dub 1775 with 16 points. 19th is Zodiac. He has 17 points. 18th is Rye Racer 24. He has 18 points. 17th in points is XR Frosted 72. He has 20 points. 16th is Savage Speeder 88. He has 22 points as well. 15th is FC Barcelona. He has 23 points. 14th is Taylor Weiler. He has 25 points. 13th is Quinibo with 26 points. 12th is PRD Black with 27 points. 11th is Hockey 2487 with 28 points. 10th is Lear with 29 points. 9th is Royally Stoned, who also has 29 points. 8th is XMS Dragon with 30 points. 7th is Boss Racer Pro 199 with 32 points. 6th is SRD Shredder with 35 points. He is the highest placed person of everyone who did not get a start in the All-Star race. 5th is JDM Culture with 36 points. 4th is Dawson 14 with 40 points. 3rd is Duke 7390 with 42 points. 2nd is Ghost Reaper 617 with 43 points. And your current points leader is last week's race winner. It is Taysbot 44. He has 46 points at this stage of the season. Real quickly, in the manufacturer standings, it is Ford that is leading with 234 points. Second is Toyota with 212. Third is Chevrolet with a distant 124. In the team's championship, DBM has 3 points. Juiced Elephant Racing has 17. Fast Dudes Racing has 22 points. JFR has 23 points. Excite Motorsports has 30. BWTR has 32. Saki Motorsports has 45. ABR has 53 points. And then the two that are pulling away in the championship fight for teams, the XIV team, the 14 team, they have 102 points. And the Apex Velocity Motorsport team, they have 109 points at this stage of the season. So that is your real quick rundown of the grid going in, and the point standings going into today's event. It looks like we're going to get one more driver, another member in the Mustang category. So we are anticipating a slightly bigger field than anticipated. Qualifying got done a little bit earlier, and we are going to try and knock out one more Twitch-mandated ad break before we get to the green flag, if at all possible. Again, no guarantee, but we will try to get that knocked out if Twitch will let us. So as expected, as this series has rules that require drivers to start on a completely untuned stocked vehicle, the game's restrictions mean that they automatically will have the medium tires put on with a full fuel load. We'll see a lot of drivers jumping in now to put on what we expect will be the softer tire compound here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back here to Eagle Rock. Real quickly, we're going to go ahead and try to give you a rundown through the grid as it is right now. It's going to be Taysbot and Duke on the front row. After that will be Savage Speeder and PRD Black teammates. Following that will be Link the Racer and Royally Stone. Then you'll have Lear Art and Quinivo. Behind them will be Boss Racer and Visible Rocket. Even farther back than that will be Gen 3 LS 79 and Hockey 2487. Then you'll have, by the looks of it, SRD Shredder and Taylor Weiler. Then it will be Ghost Reaper 617, JDM Culture. And then at the back of the grid should be Dawson 14 and Water Fire. And we are already moving on track, so we're anticipating to get them going right away. One other noteworthy rule change: the first 25 laps in this race are guaranteed green flag. It seems like, for whatever reason, one driver in the pit lane has not got moving yet, but they are going to come down, and we should be going green flag right away here at Eagle Rock. We are guaranteed at least 25 laps of green flag racing, and we are underway at a 1 mile oval once more, and it is Duke 7390 who shoots to the lead as they head into turn number 1. Savage Speeder, last season's main broadcaster, holding the inside. He's already moved up into the second spot right now. And now they seem to have backed it down. They have gone back to being double file. It looks like we're back under a yellow flag condition, so I guess they're going to have to do a restart just so they can get Water Fire to catch back up to the grid. Water still hasn't caught the rear of the field here. I think he'll just about catch them by the time they get to the start-finish line, so they might be able to go this time by. Coming out of the final corner. And they're off, and once again, it's single file, but this time it is Taysbot around the outside who gets to the front, and Savage goes to the inside of Duke. Savage is still on Duke's inside, still side by side as they come out of turn number 2. The 8 gets touched from behind by his teammate in that number 9 car, but does not look like he'll be able to do anything. So Taysbot goes to the lead. Duke slips to second. It is Savage Speeder third. And then you have Link the Racer, who's already coming up there in fourth right now. And already SRD Shredder has gone from the back half of the grid to the midpoint in just a single lap. So the second place finisher and the driver who ended up leading the most laps in last week's race, he didn't have a good qualifying run, but he's already moving up through the grid. PRG Black currently runs in the 5th spot right now. Big slap on the outside wall there coming out of turn 2. Again, first 25 laps, we are guaranteed to see green flag racing regardless of whatever happens on track. That means that there will be a lot of time, a lot of chance for the field to get a lot of spreading out going on here. We look at our leader, Taysbot, right now. We anticipate that everyone was on 100% fuel at the start. He has already burned through just about 8% of his tires after only about 4.5 laps. Really, only about 2.5 of them have been under green flag racing. So these soft tires are not going to quite last the full length of a fuel tank. So keep that in mind. That may come into play a little bit later on. Savage Speeder, who had gotten up to second, or fighting for second early on, now seems to be dropping backwards through the field. Now you see his teammate PRG Black coming to his inside, but Black does not seem to have what it takes to pull alongside mid-corner. He will, though, get to his inside on the exit of turn number 2. Drag race between the two teammates. That is Savage Speeder outside, that is Black on the inside. Savage finally comes down and blocks him, and that is Shredder, who is right behind them both. Right on board with that number 10 machine as he is making a lot of moves up through the field right now. He's going to go extremely high and wide in turns 1 and 2 that time, but he's got a gap between himself and Quinibo and Visible Rocket, so he can afford to take these less ideal, higher alternate lines if he wants for the moment. Still, he is stuck behind this Tracker Boats duo with Savage Speeder and PRG Black. They are the wall, keeping him from breaking into the top 5 positions right now. Now he looks to the inside of PRG Black. He's going to dive in deep, get alongside. Black wrapping around the wider outside line. Not an ideal lane here, but you can make it work. These cars are running at about 750 horses, so there's going to be a lot of off-throttle time here. Oh, a little bit of contact. The Shredder runs right into the back of Savage Spear, and that's going to let Black come back around the outside and put himself back. No, he could not get back in front of the 10. So the 10 and that number 9 are still going to be side by side now as they go into turns 1 and 2 again. This time Shredder is knocked below the single white line, and a little bit of door baiting, he clears the number 9. So Shredder now clears Black 30, and Visible Rocket followed him through. So now Visible Rocket is the one that's tucked up behind the 10 machine. Rocket in this 00 machine showing a little bit of potency early on right now, but it is a breakaway at the front of the field. First, second, third, and fourth. Taysbot, Duke, Link, and Ghost all have pulled away quite a bit, and now PRG Black gets back in front of Visible Rocket here for the 7th position. And Shredder is going to start setting up to figure out where do I want to get alongside Savage Speeder here. Shredder has a little bit higher entry. He's taking a little bit wider line through here, and now he's going to try and cut down on exit so he can get a tighter line. He wants the inside line going into turns 1 and 2 here, side by side into the corner, and Shredder completes the overtake. Savage Speeder now slips back to 6th. But at the front is last week's winner, Taysbot. So Tays doing a lot early on to show that he is trying to be the championship favorite this season. Duke 7390 is in the number 11 back here in the 2nd spot. 3rd place is Link the Racer, who is slowly starting to lose touch with those top drivers. And then you'll have Ghost Reaper just behind him. So there's a small breakaway by the top 4 at the head of the field, and then you have to go way on back until you get to SRD Shredder, who is already starting to break away from the drivers behind. There may be a chance that Shredder could run up and catch the top 4, but I do not know if he's going to be able to pass him. Still, he has made more moves up the field than anyone else thus far. Farther back, this is Taylor Weiler. Weiler had a frustrating time last week at Daytona. Now they are back at normal ovals, not big drafting ovals. I'm anticipating slightly better runs from Taylor going forward here. A chance to really start relying a little bit less on luck and a little bit more on actual talent and capability here. He runs in the 13th spot right now. This here is Dawson 14, a driver who is also way farther back in the grid. He is slowly making his way up. He sees Visible Rocket and PRG Black just ahead of him. We ride on board with Dawson. You can see Visible Rocket, he's trying to get to the inside. The big thing is with these cars being heavy as they are, and they have power, not an extreme amount, but they do have a decent amount of power, about 725 to 750 horses. Well, actually, yeah, about 725 to 750 horses. No, it's 670. I forgot. In this game, it is 670 horses. Still, that is enough. They will have to spend a significant amount of time off throttle. It's all going to come down to being able to be on the throttle for longer in the straightaways to outrun somebody into the corner, or, and this is the more ideal way to make overtakes, try to get a nice dive to the inside coming out of turn 2 or out of turn 4, so you can hold the inside line and deny the driver you're trying to pass the ideal lane going into the corner. You can see that PRG Black and Savage Spear still are fighting with each other here and keeping Visible Rocket and Dawson 14 tucked up behind right now. And now this is Learart in that 45 and Royally Stoned who have come up as well. So now, as they're going to go side by side for position, Visible Rocket tries to go to the outside of PRG Black. The long way around very, very rarely works in these cars, but he is trying to make that work. There's just not really a lot of room. He's not going to have a good braking zone, and no, he's going to lose multiple positions. He'll fall behind Dawson, behind Learart. Now Visible Rocket slips back to the 10th position, just barely ahead of Royally Stoned, and Stoned is sideways. Stoned is sliding, coming out of the corner. He's still moving. The car stops at a 90-degree angle, perpendicular to the track, but he will start moving. No one else involved, so we'll stay green for the moment. Also, Boss Racer Pro has already come down into pit lane for some reason. But again, first 25 laps of this race guaranteed to be green. It is still a 4-car breakaway, but Tazebot is now starting to move away from Duke 7390, who is in second. Link the Racer runs about 6 to 7 tenths behind Duke, and then about half a second behind Link is Ghost Reaper. These four have not made any changes for a while. SRD Shredder is pulled away from the drivers behind, but he is not showing any real charge on the top 4 in the field right now. And then you have this mess of cars. Savage has finally opened up a bit of a gap on Dawson. Dawson now being challenged by Visible Rocket as they come onto the front straightaway once again. Nose to tail. Does not look like there's anything that could be done that time. All right, now a potential move for the final step on the podium. Ghost Reaper pulls up behind Link the Racer here, as we'll see them coming onto the front straightaway this time. Still nose to tail for the moment. We'll see our leaders come through shortly. A brief moment of clarity. That there is Royally Stoned, who after that spin, he's still on the lead lap, but not by much. And there goes your leaders. A little bit of nose to tail action and contact there in that fight for third and fourth. And he's going to get Link just a little bit high there, and now they are side by side as they go down the straightaway. The 27 side by side, neck and neck with 7. He'll dive deep into the corner, and he will slide up in front of the number 7. So it looks like Ghost Reaper finally cracks into the podium positions here at Eagle Rock. And all the while they did that, neither of them have fallen more than 2 seconds out from our leader at the moment. So it is Taze, Duke, Ghost Reaper, Link, and SRD Shredder as your top 5, but it is really just a 4-car breakaway at the head of this field right now. Now a little bit of bumper action back as we see Link the Racer gets back under Ghost Reaper, pushes him up the track, and now they'll be side by side again as they go down the back straightaway, heading into turn 3. Link sends that number 7 car very deep, ends up with a very wide line going through 3 and 4. He'll have to dial it back a bit so he doesn't hit the wall. Mind you, that is Duke, who this duo is chasing. So now is going to be a 3-way fight for a second position. It seems like Tazebot is also just scooting away, and it's just these 3 going to be fighting for the second position now. Here comes Link going to the inside of Duke now, and Duke cannot get to the inside, so whatever has gone wrong, oh, that's a lot of tire wear. That probably has something to do with it. 59, almost 60% tire wear right now for Duke. For comparison, your leader, Tazebot, is at 59 as well. So high tire wear is now starting to come into play here at Eagle Rock. This is SRD Shredder, 50%, so he's doing a lot better on his tire management right now, but is not really making up any ground despite that. Again, we're very interested to see how long we can see these drivers go until they end up having to make pit stops. A little bit of whack on the wall there by Quinebo farther back. But it seems like Tazebot is very confident and happy with the car on the worn tires, but this trio, Link, Ghost, and Duke, are not nearly as happy on the worn rubber. Duke is now losing touch with second and third, so Link and Ghost will continue their fight for a little bit longer. Still, these are the 4 drivers that seem to be the class of the field. No one else seems to be quite on their level thus far today. Side by side, almost side by side, but Link is going to hold on to second for just a little bit longer. And now it looks like Link is starting to close down on TazeBot just a bit. TazeBot now having to deal with traffic, and we are now 26 laps in. So if you count the first lap as a pace lap, we are now in a position where yellow flags could happen, and our top 4 all pitting at the exact same time. And if you look at the tire life on TazeBot, he's at 66%. So it looks like the 2/3 percentage mark, 66 out of 100 is about 2/3, is the point. Shredder is only at 56.6%, so Shredder will take over a lead. He's going to stay out for a little bit longer now, and he is not the only one. It was only our top 4 that pitted early. Now we see Dawson, 14. He is going to move up into the second position. He's only at 43%. I feel that Dawson likely put on a harder set of tires, potentially something like the mediums, to try and make things happen. Now we see Visible Rocket paying out of the 4th position. So now we are seeing more and more drivers going ahead and jumping onto alternate strategies. Another driver, Savage Speeder, he is on the harder tire, so it looks like he started on the mediums. PRG Black, I believe these drivers, all of these drivers went ahead and started on medium tires, while our front 5, or the drivers who were our front 5, all went ahead and stayed on soft tires. So they want to track position speed early. These drivers are trying to cut out pit stops by staying out longer on harder rubber. So we'll definitely got to keep an eye on that. But this is TazeBot. He is now down to only a 70% fuel tank, and I imagine he'll probably put soft tires on. So we have a bit of a split strategy going on early here. We look again at SRG Shredder. He's only at 62.2%. He's almost burnt up all of his fuel tank right now, though, which is an interesting dichotomy. Dawson here in second position still has apparently 66% still in the fuel tank, so he's only gone through about a third of his fuel tank right now. This is Savage Speeder. He's only at 70% right now. PRG Black back here in the 4th position, 67%. So again, all these drivers on the medium tires still have quite a bit of fuel. They are going to commit to staying out here for a lot longer. The SRG Shredder leading laps for a second straight race here. He is running a modification of the strategy that our earlier leaders were running. And the big thing to remember here, when you pit around Eagle Rock, you will lose about a lap to a lap and a half. A pit stop here looks like will lose you about a lap and a third with this current setup as the track is right now. And now we're starting to see SRG Shredder starting to hemorrhage time. Dawson, 14, is starting to run Shredder down just a little bit, and he has lost PRG Black. Mind you, these drivers, they're all dealing with traffic that are respectably fast. Oh, a little bit of contact between the Tracker Boat's teammate, and Savage Speeder is going to go out into the outside wall, but he'll keep it straight for the moment. Somehow he keeps the car straight. Big lick on the outside wall, but he is still going. Hockey 2487 is paying despite being a lap down. Now only the top 8 drivers are still on the lead lap at this moment, and SRG Shredder has come into the pits. He went as far as the 70% mark. So Shredder willing to go a little bit farther on the tires than the other people who are on the softs. He has traded in pace, it seems, for an ability to manage more worn tires. So we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on that. Now, though, your leader becomes Dawson 14. He is at 54% on that right front. He still has lots of fuel in the tank right now as well. Bit of a lick on the outside wall. We are a bit more than a tenth of the way through the race right now. I'm really interested to see, though, where Shredder is going to end up in relation to TazeBot, because TazeBot pitted much, much earlier. He pitted about 8 laps earlier than Shredder, so he's got a lot of laps, and not clean air because he's still fine with people, but he's had a lot of laps where he has not had to worry about worn out tires, while Shredder has been on more worn tires. And it looks like they are well ahead of Shredder. Shredder still has not yet come out of the pit lane. So pitting early, at least right now, has given TazeBot a significant advantage, but he is still right ahead of Ghost Reaper, right ahead of Link the Racer, and right ahead of Duke. Well, Duke's a little bit farther out, but it looks like it is these 3 cars, Taze, Ghost Reaper, and Link. They are the main 3 leaders on their strategy. Duke has not been able to keep up. Shredder is 5th on a heavy modification on that strategy, and then your current actual leaders is Dawson, PRG Black, and Savage Speeder. These drivers all are on harder tire compounds, trying to go a little bit longer, a little bit deeper in before making their first pit stop. Depending on how this plays out, if we get a very long green flag run, we could see a lot of drivers getting trapped 1, 2, 3 laps down just because of drivers running more circuits on harder tires and just minimizing their pit stops. I was not around for it, but I have been told by Savage Speeder before that there have been races in this series where there have been no yellow flags here at Eagle Rock. So a completely green flag-to-flag race is absolutely in the cards for a possibility. I won't say it will happen, but it is something to consider happening. As they come across the start-finish line again, Dawson continues to lead. He has opened up a gap of about 2 seconds over PRG Black. Our ticker does not seem to want to properly reflect that, but it is about 2 seconds. Black is at 63% tire life right now, and Dawson is pitting. Dawson is pitting on lap 37 with 61% wear in the tires. But PRG Black is going to stay out. Savage Spear is going to stay out. So the Tracker Boats machines will stay out for a little bit longer. And now, here comes Savage Spear. Looks to his inside of his teammate PRG Black. So while Black led at the line that time by, we have now had 4 different leaders thus far. Well, 3 different leaders thus far. And Savage Spear wants to be our 4th different leader when they come to the line. And it looks like Waterfire and JDM Culture also have both elected to stay out as well. Now, these drivers, they're at 58% right now for JDM Culture. Waterfire, who's a little bit farther back, he is currently at 58% on his tires as well. So it's not like they're going to be out there for a whole lot longer. And yes, Savage Spear will officially lead across the line. So we have now had 4 different leaders at this stage of the event. But when it comes down to it, I'm looking at Duke 7390. He is still a lap down, but Tazebot has jumped back onto the lead lap, and he is still leading Ghost Reaper, still leading Link the Racer. The thing is, though, his tires, what are they looking at? He is at 20.6, 20.7% with 54% in the fuel tank right now. Right behind him is Ghost Reaper. Ghost is at 20.8%, 56% in the fuel tank, and then Link the Racer, who is just right behind this duo, he is at 20%, 20.3%, a little bit better on tire life with a lot more in the fuel tank right now. So very, very slight modifications of similar strategies right now, but your top 4 drivers still have yet to make their first pit stop of the race proper. Royally Stoned has already gone 4 laps down. Oh, that's a little bit of contact. Someone went sliding into the inside. That was that 87 machine. That's Taylor Weiler, already seems to be struggling a bit. He's going to muscle his way by that number 11 car. So it looks like that number 11 machine, that would be... Oh, and Savage pitting. Savage Speeder is pits out of the lead, but PRG Black is going to stay out for a little bit longer. Gets to 71.4% now. And that is SRD Shredder coming up behind. Shredder is on fresher tires. He'll shoot by with no issue whatsoever. So Shredder gets back onto the lead lap now. Now we see, I believe that is... Was that? No, that was not. But Dawson is now your first driver a lap down. Savage still in pit lane. He's going to go a lap down more than likely to the drivers who have already pitted earlier. Now PRG Black pit. So JDM Culture is going to become your new leader. When they cross the line, he will be our 5th different leader of the race today. Waterfire also still has yet to pit, but JDM Culture has pushed his tire to the 65% mark on the mediums. He is really going deep into this. Running an extreme alternate strategy. Already PRG Black coming out of pit lane. No, that was not Black. That was Savage Speeder. Never mind. So, yeah, drivers still seem to be losing about a lap to a lap and a third in pit lane. JDM Culture, when he finally pits, it will put a bunch of drivers such as Visible Rocket, Learart, and Savage Speeder back on the lead lap, I imagine. But it is Tazebot, followed by Link the Racer, Ghost Reaper. They are the 3 drivers who seem to have the best handle of this race. Duke got into it a little bit with some other drivers. He has slipped to a very distant 5th on track, which will be 4th overall once JDM Culture finally pits. There is a possibility that he gets run down by SRD Shredder going forward. Don't know how likely that is, but that is a possibility to consider here. Shredder is on fresher tires than the drivers ahead of him. Still, JDM Culture continues to lead. He still leads by 11 seconds, but that is Savage Speeder just behind the number 26. They're going to split. Lap traffic is going to split the leader 3 wide, and the 26 gets shunted into the outside there. Is there any damage to the car? Oh, the car is destroyed, and your leader, JDM Culture, has a terribly damaged car as he is limping down the back straightaway, and he is not able to bring the car into the pits. The car is heavily destroyed after contact between him and Savage Speeder. Speeder was getting back onto the lead lap. The lead now goes back to Tazebot as JDM Culture is limping with a heavily damaged car. We still stay green for the moment, though. The 00 gets a little bit of a touch from behind by Link the Racer, so Link is putting Taze on notice. And caution is out, so the yellow flag falls after the driver who had been leading gets shunted into the outside wall. We'll be back momentarily here at Eagle Rock. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Eagle Rock. I am your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13. Under our first yellow flag of the day, the entire lead lap contingency have pitted with the exception of Quinibo. So Quinibo has elected to stay out on an alternate strategy. His tires have 14.9% wear on. 14.9% wear on them. He has a little bit under 90% in the fuel tank. But everyone else who was on the lead lap went ahead and jumped into the pit lane. It looks like the drivers who were a lap down, all of them are going to be pitting except for Gen 3. Gen 3 doesn't have as much fuel, only about 54%, but he's similarly only has about 19% wear in the tire. So alternate strategy is trying to be made to work right now. But Quinibo is your leader. And now we see everyone else coming out of pit lane. So the drivers who came out of pit lane, Tazebot will go back into second. Ghost Reaper will be third. Duke 7390 will be fourth. Dawson 14 will be fifth. SRD Shredder will be sixth. Visible Rocket will be seventh. Eighth will be Lear Art. Ninth will be Savage Speeder. 10th will be PRG Black. 11th will be Hockey 2487. 12th will be JDM Culture, the driver who was involved in the accident that brought out the incident. He is still going to be on the lead lap somehow. 13th, getting back onto the lead lap, will be Gen 3 L79, and then these other drivers, Taylor Weiler, Waterfire, Boss Racer Pro, Really Stone, they are actually still a lap down because technically while they were in pit lane, the lead lap cars went back by them, so these drivers are all still a lap down. I'm not sure if they're going to be allowed to get their lap back. Yes, they will be allowed to get their lap back here. So everyone except for Royally Stone will be on the lead lap. We have gone through one full round, or nearly full round, of green flag stops thus far. The strategies have all flattened out a little bit. Real quickly, I do want to look at Tazebot. He is on fresh tires, almost a full fuel tank. Ghost Reaper just behind. It looks like it's going to be a similar case. Full fuel tank, fresh tires. I'm just curious to see who is running with a slightly lighter fuel tank. Drivers with a lighter fuel tank may have an advantage getting through the corners, but it also may take them longer when they finally do make their next pit stop. And this driver here, SRD Shredder, seems to be the first driver who's running on a slightly lighter fuel tank than the drivers ahead right now. So now they all begin to double up as the rear of the grid finally catches back up. So we are about to go green flag once again here at Eagle Rock. 1/5 of the race is down. When they hit the line, it will be lap 51. So we will begin the second fifth of the event here. Only one accident thus far today. And regardless of what happens, we are guaranteed 10 green flag laps after this restart, what we should be, as far as my reading of the rules go. 56 inside. 00 outside. And Link the Racer had been one of our top drivers. He lagged out while we were in ad break. Green flag, we are underway, and immediately Tazebot jumps to the inside, so the top two immediately go single file. Now Ghost Reaper trying to follow suit. Ghost is going to go to the inside of Duke. And now all of a sudden, Taze is looking alongside Quinibo. He gets a little bit skittish there. Here comes Dawson to the extreme inside. He wants to make it 3 wide going into the corner. He's going to lunge to get up alongside Ghost Reaper. Taze has now fallen all the way back to the 4th spot all of a sudden. And this is great news for Quinibo. He gets to lead for a little bit longer. Big slap on the outside wall by Lear Art farther back there. Dawson still in 3rd. He runs behind Ghost Reaper as Ghost is now going to come up to Quinibo. He's going to put the bumper to Quinibo. Quinibo has nothing he can do. Quinibo slips back to the 2nd position. And Ghost Reaper goes to the lead now. And now Dawson goes to the inside. Easy overtake. Quinibo stuck on the outside, has nothing he can do. Now Tazebot's going to get to his inside. We see Duke and Shredder side by side, just a little bit behind them as well. So Quinibo, now in those war-worn tires, is hemorrhaging spots rapidly through the field. So tire wear having a massive impact on how this is going. And it looks like Boss Racer Pro is incredibly slow on the apron there. Royally Stone is also pitting again shortly after that, so we're not sure what happened between those two. Maybe an instant that we missed, but we stay green for the moment. Quinibo now slips back to the 5th position, and it is Ghost Reaper, Taze, Dawson, Duke, and Quinibo. Those are your top 5 at the moment. Ghost Reaper trying to open up a gap on Tazebot, who has led the most laps of the race thus far today. Quinibo finally is going to stabilize just a little bit as he stays ahead of SRD Shredder, runs a little bit behind Duke. But again, Quinibo is on tires that are much more worn than the drivers around him. He has been forced onto a radically alternate strategy. Now Shredder in that number 10 gets right under the rear bumper of the 56. He's not willing to push the issue though. And it looks like the 56 has a faster exit, but then slaps the outside wall and kills a lot of his momentum in the process. Meanwhile, Duke is trying to look around the outside of Dawson. Outside line overtakes almost never work around here, but he's trying anything he can to get under Dawson's head, get into his head and make him make some mistakes. A little bit of fighting farther back. That is Savage Speeder. He's going to go by Quinebo and Visible Rocket, and Quinebo is sideways. He's going to go up to the wall. He's going to take Taylor Weiler with him. Quinebo and Taylor Weiler both going to the outside wall. They're both going to keep it straight, but now they're both going to hammer it around on the circuit. So this puts Shredder up into the 5th, and now Savage Speeder up into the 6th position. Ghost Reaper leads, but not by much. Taysbot is right behind him. I have a feeling that Taze, at least for the early to mid sections on a tire stint, is the faster driver right now of everyone near the front. And then I think Taze and Duke and Dawson are all relatively close to each other on performance. And then Shredder does not have lap time, but he has endurance on the tires. And then you start getting to the drivers who we don't really know what their tire life is looking like. They were all running alternate strategies. 00 gets right behind that 27 again, but as long as Ghost Reaper holds the inside and Taze doesn't put the bumper to him, there's not going to be an easy way by. Top 15 cars all still running on the lead lap right now. When they hit lap 61, that is when the possibility of yellow flags will start opening back up. Here comes Taze. He looks to the inside, but did not have enough momentum coming out of the corner to hold it. He's still right behind the 27, trying to put the bumper to the 27. Still, Ghost is doing a great job holding the line. Taze continues to run right behind. Nothing yet. Ghost still holding a nice smooth line. This time he was a little bit higher, but Taze was a little bit higher as well. So both of our leaders is a little bit higher. Now they catch lap traffic. That's a 67. I believe that is royally stoned. They're going to have to navigate around a little bit of bumper-to-bumper contact. And oh, wow, Ghost hard. I think that was Stone. Yeah, no, that wasn't Stone. Is that Boss? That was Boss. But Boss got shunted into the outside wall. No damage. He will be able to continue, but now he's going to be a factor for these drivers from about 5th on back. Not too much. It looks like he'll be mostly out of their way now. Meanwhile, back at the front is still Taze and Ghost Reaper. Duke is about a little less than 2 seconds behind. Dawson is about 3 seconds behind this group right now. Dawson started near the very end. I think it was like 3rd or 4th to last. He's already made his way up into the 4th position. So Dawson, a potential sleeper pick for today's race. And now it looks like Ghost, as he has now lost the spot to Taze, is now starting to hemorrhage a little bit of ground. So Taze absolutely seems to be the superior driver early on here. He really seems to be very confident, very hooked up with his car, has had almost no issues getting to the front. He's also just not extremely aggressive. He's willing to let the drivers ahead hold their positions, and he's just going to stay behind them, wear them down. Ghost Reaper staying behind Taze for the moment, but there is a metric difference between what Taze was doing to Ghost, staying right there bumper to bumper, and Ghost doing to Taze, where there's about a car length to a car length and a half between this duo right now. Duke is about 2 seconds behind and dropping. Savage Speeder has now gotten by SRD Shredder, and so has PRG Black. So Shredder is really struggling here in traffic. He seems to have single car pace that could put him up near the top 5, but he struggles very significantly with traffic. He seems to constantly be getting into it with other people. So Savage Speeder running up in the top 5. The driver who was not a driver last season. Last season he broadcasted this series, but he is showing that he still has the ability to go fast here. Dawson 14 now beginning to hemorrhage a lot more time. Oh, and Ghost is now back up to Taysbot here. So all of a sudden, the fight for a lead picks back up once again. Real quickly, let's look at the tire life of our drivers near the front. 39% for that 00 for Ghost Reaper, who runs right behind him. He is at 39% as well. Duke, who is in 3rd position, just turning laps on his own, he's at 39% also. Dawson 14th, who is a lot farther back, he is at 26. So again, I think Dawson is on a medium tire compound. This is Savage Speeder, who is in 5th. He's at 25. So again, I think a medium tire compound. This is SRD Shredder. 24%, so likely another kind of medium tire compound. So again, I think only the drivers at the front are on the softs. All these other drivers are on mediums until you get to Learart. I think Learart here looks like he's going to be on softs. Gen 3 LS is pitting, so that's going to put him a bunch of laps down now. Taze continues to lead over Ghost for the moment here. But again, our top 3 drivers are on softer compound tires than almost everyone from 4th on back here. So we are still looking at alternate strategy shenanigans playing out here. Now, when these drivers in the top 3 pit, they already have a lot of fuel in the tank. They do not have to put a whole lot of fuel back in. That can help shorten up their pit stop a little bit. Now, that benefit normally has a bigger impact under yellow flag pit stops. But under green flag, an extra 10 for 2 can still help there as well. And Gen 3 now will officially go a lap down. I think there is a possibility he might go 2 laps down before this is over. SRD Shredder is now hemorrhaging positions. He has fallen all the way back to 8th. He just cannot get down to the inside line, it seems. And drivers just freight train him. He cannot keep that number 10 to the inside. So now you have to wonder, is all of his ability, all his capability limited to just Daytona? Because he has not shown as much capability as this race is dragging on. He is hemorrhaging time rapidly. It is Dawson who looks like he is the driver to keep an eye on. Anticipating this race to go for a little bit over 2.5 hours today. Oh, here we go, side by side. PRG Black to the inside of Dawson. Two drivers who have both been in this series for a prolonged period of time, and the 9 will clear the 96 without issue there. So PRG Black moves up another position. He's at 54% already, though, on that right front. Again, I think Black is on the softer tire compound along with our leaders right now. So Black will likely have to pit shortly, and Dawson really shouldn't have to worry because the next driver up to him that is still on the harder tire compound, I believe, is Taylor Weiler, who is still about a second behind him right now. Tazebot leads, but Ghost Reaper has not let Tazebot scoot away, which is what Taze had done in the initial green flag run at the start of this race. Top 14 drivers all still on the lead lap, but Waterfire is being run down on slowly yet surely here. Still just about nose to tail between these two at the head of the grid. 27 scoots back up behind the 00 once more. Can't make it stick, can't even get a move going. Mind you, these two are both in Mustangs, so you have to wonder, is there a potential aerodynamic advantage to the Mustangs? These drivers were both up near the front back at Daytona, along with SRD Shredder, so you have to wonder, is there a slight aerodynamic advantage to the Mustangs that these drivers are aware of, or are they just that good, and they just happen to be in the same car? Now they come up on Waterfire here. Waterfire, how is he going to run? He is running a tighter inside line by the looks of it as we ride on board with Ghost, as our leaders are trying to navigate lap traffic here. 00 is going to get to the inside, and it looks like Taze is going to be pitting. So Taze and Ghost say we are not dealing with lap traffic. They are going to pit a little bit earlier than I anticipated. Now their tires at 62%, but I thought they would have been able to stay out for an extra lap or so, but that is not the case. So your leader now is going to be Dawson 14, followed by PRG Black, Taylor Weiler, and Savage Speeder. SRD Shredder moves back into the 5th position now as well. So PRG Black and Savage Speeder both have been consistent top 5 contenders throughout the run today. Now Black gets passed by Savage Speeder as they are trying to navigate lap traffic there, and now it looks like SRD Shredder is going to get by. That number 9 got freight train on the outside. Shredder's trying to make it 3 wide as they go down to the corner. That's a big, bold strategy, and he will make it stick. And Shredder is going to get by both of those Tracker Boats machines. So Shredder now moves up into the 3rd spot, although Savage Speeder is not done yet. Speeder is trying to make it work, and here comes PRG Black into the pit lane now, and Taylor Weiler will join him. But Dawson, Shredder, and Savage Speeder are now your top 3. Dawson, on a harder tire compound, is scooting away from the rest of the field. He's at 45% wear right now. SRD Shredder, who is running in 2nd position, he's only at 40% wear. So again, Shredder does not have the pace of the other drivers around him, but he is able to pull a lot more laps out of the tires. So he is able to stay on track for a significantly longer period of time. If this race has a very long green flag run, we could see Shredder eventually somersault that into a massive advantage. But if we keep getting yellow flags once every 40 to 50 laps, that advantage is not really going to play off for him in any major way. even slightly more worn tires will just be absolutely atrocious against heavily worn tires. And that may end up being a big factor in how the rest of this goes. Okay, so Duke 7390 is now 2 laps down. The driver who had been leading, Taysbot, is your first driver 1 lap down, and he still has Ghost Reaper right behind him. So the 00 and the 27 still nose to tail right now as they are looking at a pack of cars up ahead. Shredder is still being harassed by Savage Speeder, who gets back to his inside. The number 8 is there. That is also the 11, who I believe is Duke, who's going to force his way by Shredder as well. So Savage Speeder, driver who's also led laps, or a few laps earlier today, is showing a lot of aggression near the end of the tire life. Quinibo is now going to pit out of the top 5 here. Mind you, Quinibo did not pit under the yellow flag earlier, so this is only their second pit stop right now. Savage Speeder still about 2.5 seconds behind this man here, Dawson, who continues to lead at Eagle Rock. He's at 51% tire life right now, so for all intents and purposes, he should be able to stay out for a very long period of time with minimal issue here. Still is about 2.5 to 3 seconds ahead of the next drivers up. Then I want to look real quickly back here at Visible Rocket, way back here in the 4th position. He is at 50%. He is doing a strategy similar to Shredder. He's doing a good job conserving his tire life, but he also just does not have a lot of pace. There's a fine balance. You can save a lot of tire life if you're just not pushing the car, but there is a likelihood you will be trapped near the rear of the grid and will constantly going multiple laps down in that strategy. It's a bold strategy pattern. It's not always going to play out in a good way. And then you have way back here in 6th place, this is JDM Culture. He is only at 36% tire wear. I think JDM Culture may have put on a set of hard tires to try and jump back into the lead later in the event. The thing is, though, there is a possibility that he will be caught and lapped by other drivers. He does not have a lot of pace, but he is trying to cut out pit stops here. It's a bold strategy. As Dawson continues to open his gap on Savage Speeder and SRD Shredder, this duo is continuing to struggle with navigating traffic right now. Some of those cars ahead are on fresher tires, some of them are on worse tires. And neither of these two are in a great position. A little bit of smoke up ahead. That is the 77 spinning. And Shredder slaps the 77. Is there any damage on Shredder's number 10? No, he will be able to continue going here. So Royally Stone, the driver who spun there, has no damage. He will also be able to continue going. So we should be able to stay green. But now that means that Dawson has opened up his gap over Savage Speeder and SRD Shredder even more. Ghost Reaper has actually gotten ahead. Well, no, he's still behind Taysbot. Ticker mistake, but yeah, Taysbot and Ghost Reaper are still right on top of each other as now they are trying to navigate their way through traffic right now. That's the 97 and the 11 they're trying to fight with. Mind you, that 11, that's Duke, who they had been battling with earlier, but something has forced Duke to make an extra pit stop, and he's fallen back an extra lap behind. So now it is just Taysbot and Ghost Reaper, the only two. We had 4 drivers who's going to be destroying everyone on pace early on. Now it's only this duo, Ghost Reaper and Tays. Visible Rocket is finally going ahead and making a pit stop. He's right on board with Ghost Reaper. He looks to the inside of Tays, but is not willing to commit to the move. But there is a little bit of room there. He's going to put the bumper just a little bit to the 00. Not enough to force him off, but enough to get him a little bit sideways. Dawson pitting out of the lead now. So that will put a few drivers back onto the lead lap just for the moment, including this duo of Taysbot and Ghost Reaper. This also means that Savage Speeder will go back into the lead of the race now, and SRD Shredder is going to move up into the 2nd spot. But the gap between Shredder and Speeder is now about a full second after Shredder was involved in that spin with Royally Stone. Savage, though, is being held up significantly by traffic, so I can't imagine that he's going to be staying out for a whole lot longer. Shredder is at 55.9% on the tire life. Savage Speeder's tire life is at 60%. So a not insignificant difference in tire life right now. Shredder massively tearing chunks out of the gap that Savage Speeder has over him. Then you go way back to 3rd place. This is Hockey, who is incredibly slow right now. He is at 63% on his tires. I'm shocked he's not already pitted. And JDM Culture has actually just gone by him. And again, we anticipate that JDM Culture is on hard tires. We think he is on the hardest compound tire, trying to make a radically alternate strategy work on the assumption that we are going to go a very long distance without pit stops. Fight for a lead by the looks of it, and Shredder is going to get to the inside of Savage Speeder. Speeder is incredibly high through 1 and 2. I think he's pushed his tires just a little bit too far, and no, he's hit the wall. Savage Speeder has hit something. He's ducking into the pits now. Now, I don't see anyone else rushing into the pits, so I don't know if he was involved in someone else's mess or it was all self-inflicted, but now SRD Shredder will go into the lead. 7 drivers still on the lead lap right now. Waterfire is the last of them. Yes, barely, but he is now being run down by SRD Shredder. Hockey is now going to pit out of the 4th position, so those drivers will go back to being a lap down. Tazebot is about to crack back into the top 3, and he'll be bringing Ghost Reaper with him. So we seem to have 3.5 different strategies right now. It is Tazebot and Ghost Reaper on one strategy. We have Dawson, PRG Black, Savage Speeder on another strategy. SRD Shredder is on that strategy, but on a very extreme mutation of it. And then way farther back, you have JDM Culture, who is on a strategy of his own as well. And mind you, I'm looking at Tazebot right now as he gets made side by side. He's already back to 42% tire life. So if these drivers put soft tires on all over again, they don't think they're going to have a chance to be leading, because JDM Culture is still running on track ahead of them by a significant amount. JDM Culture might be well ahead of him. Also, SRD Shredder has gone ahead and pit, so this is going to put a bunch of drivers like Quinibo and Savage Speeder back on the lead lap as SRD Shredder pits after about 40 laps on the medium tires. All of the other drivers on mediums, though, only seem to be able to go about 35. So, JDM Culture leads. We believe he is on hard tire compounds. He is running significantly slower than everyone else, but he has not pit since that yellow flag that we had earlier. Keeping an eye on this here between Tazebot and Ghost Reaper as Taze and Ghost keep staying right on top of each other. If this ends up being the winning strategy, we are being treated to a race-long fight. Assuming we don't have any more yellow flags, our top 9 drivers all still on the lead lap right now. JDM Culture now less than 4 seconds ahead of this duo. We're going to go ahead and take a Twitch mandated ad break. We will be back momentarily here at Eagle Rock. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Eagle Rock. I'm your host for today's broadcast, Same Leader 13. We are looking at JDM Culture. When we went to break, he was leading by about 4 seconds, but these hard tires, now that they have some wear on them, they have no speed whatsoever. He is rapidly hemorrhaging time. Your leaders are back to being Tazebot 44 and Ghost Reaper 617. But again, these drivers we anticipate are going to have to pit very shortly here. They are already at the 60% wear mark when it comes to tire life right now. JDM Culture might end up still getting the perverted last lap and going back into the lead if these two drivers have to pit in the next lap or two. And speaking of which, here they come. Tazebot and Ghost Reaper both jumping into the pits now. JDM Culture, though, staying out a little bit longer on these very worn hard tires, so he is now suddenly back in front. So he can go farther on one set of hard tires than your fastest drivers have been able to go on 2 sets of soft. So that could have some significant strategy implications. This here is PRD Black. He was leading on the strategy earlier where they put on medium tires, but I think he put on a set of softs, and he is already at 59%. So now Black has gone medium soft. He has opened up a big gap on the other drivers around him, but his tires are very close to giving up the ghost as well. So definitely keep an eye on that. Also remember that after PRD Black, you will have to deal with Savage Speeder and SRD Shredder. Now, Shredder has finally cleared Speeder for a little bit, but these drivers are on alternate strategy. I think Speeder may have put on hard tires. SRD Shredder, I believe, may have put on mediums. It might be hards or mediums. I think they've put on hard tires, though, considering how this has been going. If we are going to be doing these long green flag runs to the end, though, JDM Culture could end up with a massive advantage, as he has not pit yet since that yellow flag around lap 45 to 50 here. So he has gone about 60 laps on this fuel tank, on the set of tires. He's still not hit the 60% mark. He is just doing fantastic job managing. He is back in the lead, although PRD Black in second is running him down. Black has a very worn set of tires and will likely have to pit very shortly. In fact, just as I say that, he's pitting now, and Taylor Weiler is going to be joining him into the pits. Not a great entry. Oh, and PRD Black hit the wall coming into the pit lane. Is there damage on Black's car? Yes! Black's car got damaged coming into the pit lane, so it's going to be a very slow creep down pit lane for him and a very long pit stop if they repair the car. So that's going to derail Black's charge forward through the grid. So now second place on track is going to be Lear Art, and he is still about half a lap behind our leader right now, and he's already at almost 50% in the tire life right now. So JDM Culture continues to lead with tires that are at 61%, where he just continues to click laps off right now like there's just no problem whatsoever. Lear Art will likely have to pit a little bit after our current leader, JDM Culture. But again, JDM Culture is on a wildly alternate strategy, and if we can run another 60 or so laps green, he's going to trap a gigantic chunk of this field a lap down. This is SRD Shredder as he is caught up to Waterfire. Waterfire running the 4th position, but Waterfire has some very worn right front tires. Shredder's going to get to his inside. It does not look like it's going to be anything close to being an issue. JDM Culture finally pitting after what has been about 62, 63 laps on this set of hard tires. So JDM Culture really making something different out of it when it comes to strategy today. But the big question is going to be, where is JDM Culture going to end up in relation to TazeBot? TazeBot has been on this strategy along with Ghost Reaper. They just keep putting on soft tires and just burning the field down with sheer pace. They had actually gotten ahead of JDM Culture before they made their second stop. But again, JDM Culture stayed out for a lot longer. I think there's your answer. JDM Culture still has yet to come out of pit lane. He's still not out of pit lane. Now he's out of pit lane. TazeBot and Ghost Reaper are well down the grid, but here's the thing. You look at these drivers, TazeBot, he's already at 9.7%. I think TazeBot and Ghost Reaper have gone ahead and realized, okay, we can't make these ultra soft tires work. I think these drivers may have jumped onto a set of medium tires to try and balance outright pace with a little bit of longevity here. Savage Speeder now gets by Waterfire. Your leader at the moment is Lear Art, so another different leader in today's event. Again, most of these changes have been off of strategy, but still a very active strategy fight. Lear Art is going to come down pit lane, so that will put JDM Culture back on the lead lap, and it will be Dawson who goes back to the front. But again, Dawson went on what we believe was a set of... No, that was not who I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a different driver. Dawson went a long way on the medium tires earlier, and it seems to have paid off for him. He has almost a 4 1/4 second lead over SRD Shredder right now. He's got a great job at managing pace, maintaining pace, but he doesn't seem to be able to take the tires quite as far as Shredder. He is at 25% on that right front. I look at SRD Shredder, who is running in second position right now. He's only at 23% right now. So Shredder has a very slight tire life advantage over Dawson right now. I am curious to see if that advantage gets destroyed and goes back in Dawson's favor, or if the advantage goes in Shredder's favor and Shredder starts opening that gap advantage up again. That driver right behind, that number 9, that is PRG Black, who has gone 2 laps down after crashing coming into pit lane, and that meant that he had a very, very slow time getting into his pit box and then had to spend even more time repairing the car in the pit lane. Waterfire now is going to go a lap down momentarily here. Yes, now Waterfire is a lap down, so only our top 8 drivers are on the lead lap right now. JDM Culture, he is the last driver on the lead lap. He is at 10% tire wear already. So I feel like JDM Culture may have gone ahead and jumped onto a softer tire compound now, hoping that he can open up some gap on the other drivers and try not to get trapped a lap down. Dawson going to have to work the long way around as PRG Black is fighting desperately to get back on the lead lap. Oh, Black got by him, but he slid way too wide, and he'll go back to being 2 laps down. So Black very aggressively fighting to try and get back on the lead lap. And mind you, as these two are fighting, SRD Shredder is slowly starting to peel away the gap between himself and Dawson. Now Black gets back in front of Dawson here. We are on our longest green flag run thus far today. The lights at the track have come on. The sun is starting to set, so the track is going to start losing temperature. So if you're a driver who's really been struggling with overheating the tires, as the track leaches out the heat into the night, it will be a little bit easier to maintain tire grip, but that also means that if you're having trouble getting the tires up to temperature when you first come out of pit lane, it's going to take a lot longer to get those tires up to temperature. It's not a gigantic difference, but it will be a difference that drivers will most definitely notice here. The gap that Dawson has over Shredder is 3.2 seconds right now. He has let Black run away. So 30.9, so about 31% on that right front for Dawson right now. For Shredder, who is in second, he is at 30.5%. So the advantage that Shredder had when it came to balancing pace and tire life has now swung into Dawson's favor. Shredder is running Dawson down, but Dawson is making the tires last a lot longer now. Hazebot is about 2/3 to 3/4 of a lap behind our leader Dawson right now. But it does seem like Hazebot and Ghost Reaper have gone ahead. I believe they have gone ahead and committed to a... No, maybe not. I think they've committed to a medium tire strategy. I can't confirm, but I believe they may have committed to a medium tire strategy. The other interesting thing, these drivers are continuing to run with a full fuel load in the rear of the car. So real quickly, a little bit of explanation as to why drivers may want to run a full fuel load in the car, even though no one has been going a full 100% fuel tank between stops. There are going to be several different reasons. One, the extra weight in the car will help cause the rear of the car to sink down. It puts a little bit more pressure on the springs. As we see, Ghost Reaper gets by Hazebot there. With all that extra weight on the rear springs, you can get 2 different potential advantages. One, it can force the rear tires to get a little bit more grip and maintain extra grip just because the entire car is sitting on the springs, sitting on that rear suspension, sitting on the tires. That's one potential advantage, and that's likely the advantage we're seeing here. The other advantage is something we see a little bit more in road racing, but it can still apply here as well. All that extra weight is causing the rear of the car to sink down, and with the rear of the car sinking down like that, it pulls the rear spoiler out of the air. Less air is going over the top of the car and hitting the rear spoiler. That means that there is less drag. That means that potentially you're getting more speed in a straight line because there is not as much rear drag on the car. Those are the 2 big reasons why drivers may choose to run a heavier fuel tank with more fuel in the car than what they actually need. Again, it's not always the greatest thing. Typically in this game, you want to be in a lighter fuel tank because a lighter fuel tank will get you a lot of extra lap time, but there are advantages in running on a heavier fuel tank. Meanwhile, at the head of the field, it is still Dawson, but SRD Shredder has closed the gap down now to about 1.21 3/4 of a second. It has 37% tire life left on Dawson's machine. Shredder, though, he is now burning his tires up. He's at 38%. Shredder also is only down to 20% left in the fuel tank. I look at Dawson, who is leading right now. Dawson is at 21%. So it does seem like Dawson might be backing up the corners a little bit. He may be going a little bit slower, trying to get some extra time out of the car. One of the big ways you can sacrifice lap time to gain speed: don't jump onto the brakes going into the corner. Let off the throttle earlier. Roll through the corner longer. Get on the throttle coming out of the corner smoother. You won't tear up your tires nearly as much. You won't be absolutely herking the wheel, or for the drivers who are playing out of control, you won't be herking the directional pad, and you won't be using as much fuel. So while Shredder is queuing into Dawson's lead, I think that Dawson is just in management mode right now. The pace of this race is very much calmed down a bit. Drivers are going a little bit slower now than what they were doing earlier in the event. I think a lot of drivers are just trying to min-max their pit stop strategies so that way they can either be on soft tires at the very end or potentially cut out a pit stop or 2 near the end of this race. So interesting thing about JDM Culture, who had went that long time on hard tires earlier, he is burning through his tires now. I really think he's jumped onto the softs. But the thing is, I don't think it's really given him a significant advantage. He is still losing ground to Dawson and Shredder at the head of this grid. He has closed the gap between himself and Savage Speeder down a little bit, and it looks like Boss Racer Pro has dropped out. That'll be our second DNF of the race today. We'll try to reach out to Boss, see if he wants to say anything here. Ghost Reaper and TazeBot continuing to go back and forth between these two here. And also, these two are running down our top 3 drivers. So Ghost Reaper and TazeBot are the fastest cars on track once again, despite being on a harder tire compound. Now again, their tire compounds don't have nearly as much wear as the drivers ahead of them, but these two have been repeatedly the fastest drivers on track thus far today. But they have been making more pit stops throughout the run. This is the first time we've really seen them on a heavier tire compound. Only our top 7 drivers on the lead lap right now, and Visible Rocket is about several seconds away from going a lap down here. But he'll likely have to pit sooner rather than later due to tire wear, I would imagine. Dawson now being held up here by Royally Stoned. So traffic management not going great in Dawson's favor. SRD Shredder seems to be managing the traffic slightly, I do mean slightly, but slightly better than Dawson right now. So the gap is now shrunk to just a tick over half a second between this duo. But again, Shredder is now burning through his tires and fuel faster than Dawson is. So there is a possibility that Dawson will end up maintaining the lead, or if he only loses it, he might only lose it for 1 or 2 laps, and then we'll pick it back up when Shredder pits shortly afterwards. Savage Speeder is also now starting to run down this duo. The gap between them and Savage Speeder in third is now down to about 4.5 seconds right now. Now Shredder just coming up behind Dawson. There are no cars between this duo now. But again, I look at the tire life, 50% exactly for SRD Shredder. For Dawson, who is leading, 47%. So the advantage has very much slid in Dawson's favor, and Shredder is going to blow by Dawson. Dawson falls in line behind Shredder. How aggressive is he going to be? He puts the bumper to Shredder on corner exit. But that seems to be it. He is not willing to push the issue. So Shredder goes back into the lead once again. But again, Dawson is going a lot farther on his tires right now. That could end up having a significant knock-on effect going forward. The fastest drivers on track, despite actively fighting throughout most of this race, are still Ghost Reaper and TazeBot. It is Ghost who has the advantage over TazeBot at this stage of the race, and this is JDM Culture, who has put on soft tires. But he's going to have to pit momentarily due to tire wear, so he's not going to be too much of a pain to this duo for a whole lot longer here. He looks to the inside. Oh! And it looks like Taze is saying, I don't want to have to deal with JDM Culture. So Culture is going to be forced on that outside line. And it looks like JDM Culture gets by Taze. Now his focus is going to be Ghost Reaper as they come onto the straightaway here. But again, tire's not going to last a whole lot longer for JDM. He will have to pit momentarily, as your leader is going by there. And now it looks like Dawson is picking up the pace just a little bit so as not to let Shredder run away from him. He's at 8% in the fuel tank. SRD Shredder just behind is at 7.2% in the fuel tank. So Dawson now gets a run on the inside of Shredder, side by side for a lead once again as they come onto the back straightaway. Dawson had a much better run. Dawson will likely be able to... No, he backs out, but he's still there. Shredder cannot clear the inside line. Now he clears the inside line. So Shredder continues leading. Again, it looks like Shredder's going to have to pit a lap or 3 earlier than Dawson here. And then once they pit, the lead should go to Savage Speeder, but Speeder's is struggling with traffic, and he's got tires that are much worse worn than our leaders right now. So I imagine we're going to see our top 3 all pitting momentarily here, and that will give the lead back to Ghost Reaper and TazeBot. JDM Culture will likely have to pit about the same time as our top 3 here. And now that JDM Culture has gotten by TazeBot, he's held up TazeBot a little bit, and it's let him get away. All right, coming to the party right now is Boss Racer Pro. Boss, are you able to hear me? Boss, in the Xbox party, there will be a box to include audio. Go ahead and hit that if you can. All right. Frustrating time out there, boss. What caused you to drop out?
Um, just kept getting broken toe links. Seemed like we just couldn't not get ran over. Yeah, so just tough time. The car had some type of pace to it, but we just didn't get to see it. On to Indianapolis.
All right. Well, frustrating time to say the least. Hopefully things go better for you at Indianapolis. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so while we were doing interviews there, it looks like Tazebot, Ghost Reaper, Visible Rocket, Taylor Weiler all have gone ahead and pitted. So JDM Culture is actually staying out on track a little bit longer again than what we anticipated, although he is almost at 70% on those tires. He'll have to consider pitting momentarily here. Meanwhile, our leaders, Shredder, Dawson, Savage Speeder, all staying out. No, Shredder's coming in this time. Shredder comes in the pits this time. So Dawson now goes back into the lead as he makes a big dive bomb on lap traffic. He is at 2.4% in the fuel tank, so he's only going to be able to get 1 or 2 more laps in. Savage Spear is pitting, so is JDM Culture. So for about a lap here, we will be looking at Dawson 14 being the only driver on the lead lap for about 1 full circuit here. So we are in the really wild car. Oh, no, never mind. He is coming, so he's only staying out 1 lap longer than SRD Shredder that time. So the lead is going to be between Shredder and Dawson, I imagine. Learhart's going to get back onto the lead lap here momentarily. This is going to get interesting. Dawson's still in pit lane, so he is still technically leading. He's still going to likely be leading at the line. This is Learhart. He might get a shot at getting back onto the lead lap here momentarily, I imagine. Yeah, he's about to get his lap back, even if it's only briefly here. Shredder has come back out onto the circuit now. Dawson still in pit lane. Will Shredder be able to get back in front of Dawson? And the other thing, of course, is going to be, it's a 1 lap difference, but if it's a 1 lap difference that continues to build lap after lap, how is that going to work out? Learhart has actually gotten back onto the lead lap now and is now leading. So Learhart has now is going to officially have a moment where he leads at the line. Coming out of pit lane is Dawson. You can see Shredder going by on the outside there, and Shredder is well clear of Dawson. So pitting early gets you track position, but pitting later means that you can push a little bit longer, a little bit harder. Dawson already had a tire advantage, but now he's going to have to push that tire advantage again. But your leader now is Learhart, but he will have to pit momentarily. Our top 9 drivers are all still on the lead lap here at Eagle Rock. We are going to go ahead and knock out a Twitch-mandated ad break. We will be back momentarily here at Eagle Rock. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Eagle Rock. SRD Shredder is your leader. Dawson is second. Tazebot, who has been probably the fastest driver all day, is back in third. How did he get back in front of Ghost Reaper, even though they both pit at the same time? Tazebot elected to not put as much fuel in the car. So Ghost Reaper filled the car back up to 100% fuel tank. Tazebot only put in about 70%. So that significant difference in how much fuel went into the car meant that Tazebot had a shorter pit stop. That let him get out on track ahead of Ghost Reaper, and he's staying ahead of Ghost Reaper for the moment. The big thing, though, is that trick can only work so many times. There will come a point where you won't be able to short fill because you will have already burned up all that extra fuel tank. Ghost Reaper still has the ability to pull that trick off a little bit later. Taze may not be able to pull that trick off later, or if he does pull that trick off later, it's not going to be as much of an advantage. Your leader, though, is SRD Shredder in the number 10 machine. He is at 11.8% tire wear right now. Dawson is in second position. He has now cleared traffic. He's at 8.5% tire wear right now. He is also running a heavier fuel load compared to Shredder. Shredder is running lighter fuel loads, trying to get a little bit more speed by just running in a lighter car. Dawson is likely looking to short fill when he finally makes his next stops. And again, Dawson has, now that the night has come, Dawson has picked up the advantage at being the driver who is best balancing pace with tire life management. But again, the interesting thing is that TazeBot looks like they may have jumped onto soft tires here, and they are running down on Dawson. So Dawson's going to have to deal with these faster drivers momentarily here. Shredder will not have to deal with them for quite some time, and that could end up being a small knock against Dawson here. Still, Taze trying to fight his way through traffic. These have been Taze and Ghost have been two of the fastest drivers all day long today, and they are on nice soft tires. Dawson is leading this big train of cars right now, and Taze is just cutting his way through. That could end up holding Dawson up a little bit here. But again, I think Dawson, more than anything else, is just managing his tires. He's backing up his corner entry. He's very smooth, getting back onto the throttle. He's not trying to push to gain lap time. He's just trying to salvage fuel and tires so that way he can either cut out a pit stop later or be on better tires later in the event. Still, here comes Taze. Taze is now going to pull up alongside that number 45 machine. We'll try and clear him. And now Taze puts the look on Dawson. How much is Dawson going to try and keep Taze behind? Again, these drivers are on alternate strategies, but they are drivers who are legitimately fighting for the overall race win. Dawson is not going to put any fight up whatsoever. Taze goes right by, and it looks like Ghost Reaper is going to follow him with no issue. So Dawson hemorrhaging time. Oh, big hit on the wall back there. Who was that? That was a gigantic hit by that gold car. I think that was Visible Rocket. Yeah, Visible Rocket was the driver who absolutely pounded the outside wall. And while the engine is still functioning, there is a lot of aerodynamic damage to that 00. I imagine he'll have to pit here to repair the damage to that car. Yes, he is going to come into the pits. Not a great entry line, but he will make it into the pit lane. So TazeBot now moves back into the second position. But again, he is on what we believe are soft tires right now. He's already at 42% wear. Your leader is SRD Shredder, ran in completely clean air. We believe he is on medium tires. I think it is possible that TazeBot runs Shredder down before they make their next pit stop, but I do not know if TazeBot is going to be able to overtake Shredder and then open up enough of a gap. Right now, I feel like while Taze and Ghost are your fastest drivers on track, they are not on a winning strategy. I think right now it is Dawson and SRD Shredder who are on the winning strategy right now. This is JDM Culture, who is running around on some harder tires as well right now. But I do not think that JDM Culture is on a winning strategy. I think if he went hard and then jumped onto the mediums instead of went hard and jumped on the softs, I think it would have worked out. But he went a long run on the hard tires, jumped onto the softs. I think that's neutralized any advantage he may have had. I don't think he has anything. I think it is really going to be Shredder versus Dawson for this win. I think Savage Speeder might be in the contention for podium positions. As this is going right now, I don't know if Taze or Ghost Reaper have the pace or the strategy that can get them back into the podium positions. Again, I should specify, that is under the assumption that we stay green from now until the end of this race. We had one yellow flag around lap 42, 43 or so, and that has been it. We are on a green flag run that has lasted about 90 laps thus far. We went green on lap 51, so we're about 88, 89 laps straight of green flag racing here at Eagle Rock. We are rapidly clicking the laps away here, and we are about to hit 100 laps to go here at this short, slightly banked 1 mile oval. It has still been TazeBot versus Ghost Reaper. This has been the big fight to watch for a large chunk of this race. These two haven't been very aggressive, dooring each other, slamming each other offline, but they have gone back and forth on several different occasions, and even despite doing that, despite actively having the defensive and offensive driving against themselves, they have not had the chance to really min-max their lines since the restart. Despite that, these two have consistently been the fastest two drivers on track. If they, oh, big hit on the outside wall. I believe that may have been Visible Rocket there. And now that 00 is going to jump up He's going to clear. So Taysbot will get by, and Ghost Reaper is not... Oh, we have 2 double zeros. That is... We have 2 double zeros in this race. That is... I thought earlier I saw 2 double zeros, and I thought I was losing my mind. But no, we have 2 different double zero machines in this field. Huh. That's interesting. Well, either way, Taysbot and Ghost Reaper have both gotten by some of the traffic, but now Taze has finally opened up a bit of a gap on Ghost Reaper. He is continuing to run down on SRD Shredder, who only leads by about 1.25 seconds. But already, Taysbot is at the 58% wear mark on tires. SRD Shredder, while he's on a harder tire compound, he'll be able to stay out a lot longer. He's not yet hit the 30% mark. Shredder is also now about 6.7 seconds ahead of Dawson 14. So Shredder is trying to go more for pace. Dawson is trying to go more for tire saving and potentially getting onto a better set of rubber near the end of this run here. JDM Culture is the last driver on the lead lap right now. There is a several second gap though between himself and SRD Shredder, and Culture does have a tire advantage, so he'll be able to stay out a little bit longer. And Taysbot and Ghost Reaper are both pitting. So Taze and Ghost are both pitting this time. So let's see, is Ghost Reaper going to do the strategy that Taysbot did earlier? Is he going to short fill, put a little bit less in the fuel tank to try and get back ahead of Taze this time? Well, while these two are limping around here, here's the question. And no, it looks like Ghost is going to put a full fuel tank back in the car. What of Taze? Is Taze going to go back to 100%? Yes, Taze puts a full fuel tank back in as well. So between these two, yeah, because Taze put a full fuel tank in this time and Ghost Reaper didn't have to put as much in, now the trick that Taze did earlier has now inverted, and now it is Ghost Reaper who's going to be ahead out of the two of them. Taylor Weiler now paying out of the top 5 positions. Savage Speeder continues to have a very, very strong day. He's led laps. He's running good on what might be the race-winning strategy. He could have a top 3 finish in the cards for him here. He is also slowly running down on Dawson 14. That is PRG Black, I believe, who is trying to get by Dawson here. PRG Black had been on the same strategy, but had an accident coming into pit lane that put him an entire extra 2 laps down compared to the rest of the field. He needs some yellow if he wants to get back onto it. And it's a shame because Black is probably one of our top 7 or 8 faster cars here, but it's just under green flag circumstances, you need almost a 1,000 lap race in order to race your way back onto the lead like that. But Dawson is doing a good job just managing his tire life, trying to eke out extra laps here or there, likely trying to either short fill or put on some softer tires on the final run to the end here. Shredder is just going for pure pace on this all-medium strategy right now. Well, after what I said earlier, how Ghost Reaper got back in front of Taysbot in the pits, well, seems like it only took a lap or 2. Taze is now back ahead of Ghost. These two continue to go back and forth at it here. Taze has led the most laps thus far today, but at the rate this is going, we might see that overtaken by SRD Shredder, who also ended up leading the most laps back at Daytona as well. '96 runs a little high as the 8 tries to clear him there. And yes, Savage Speeder has now cleared Dawson. So Savage Speeder goes up into the 2nd spot now on track. But again, Savage Speeder, we look at him, he is at 41% tire life right now. I look at SRD Shredder, he is at 40% tire life right now. And now I look at Dawson, who has now slipped to 3rd. He is only at 31%. So a gigantic difference in tire life. Again, I feel that Dawson hasn't jumped onto harder tires. I think he is just backing up the entry onto the straights as much as he can to try and cut out pit stops later on. I'm not going to try and guess when drivers are going to make their next round of stops here if I can help it, just because there's nothing stopping drivers from jumping in a little bit earlier or doing what Dawson is doing and backing way off to go a little bit later. Trying to predict when drivers are going to make their next pit stops is just going to be way too aggressive and difficult. Right now, though, only 4 drivers are on the lead lap, and now it is 3. JDM Culture has now gone a lap down. He led a big chunk of the race earlier on alternate strategy, but then screwed over that alternate strategy. While he is running 4th on track on merit, oh, big hit on the outside wall back there. But while JDM Culture is still running 4th overall, he is now a full lap down to the leaders. The only big benefit that he has is that he has tires that are way fresher than our top 3, so he is guaranteed to get back onto the lead lap once our top 3 drivers do eventually go ahead and make their next pit stop here. So everything's calmed down just a little bit here. Although watch this, as Ghost Reaper and Tazebot are about to have to start navigating traffic again. We're going to go ahead and knock out a Twitch-mandated ad break. We'll be back momentarily here at Eagle Rock. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Eagle Rock. About 85 laps to go here at this short 1 mile oval. Tazebot has finally gapped Ghost Reaper as the two of them were navigating traffic. Ghost Reaper got into it, was briefly 3 wide with several other drivers, including third place Dawson. And that significantly swung the momentum in Tazebot's favor. The gap between Tazebot and Ghost Reaper is now about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. And Tazebot, though, is now struggling trying to get by that number 9 of PRD Black. So if Ghost Reaper wants to try and run back down on Taze, this may be his best shot to do it. Now Ghost sees Taze having to back way off there as he is struggling trying to get by a car that has another lap down to him even. Only 3 drivers are on the lead lap right now. That is SRD Shredder, Savage Speeder, and Dawson 14. But we are anticipating that those 3 drivers will be pitting sooner rather than later. When they make their pit stop, though, it's going to be interesting. Medium tires seem to be able to go about 35 to 45 laps for most of these drivers. Hard tires can go about 70, 80 laps if you really want to push it, but I think it's going to be closer to about 60 laps. So drivers make their pit stops now. There's no way that will be their final pit stop to the end. We're likely going to see everyone having to make 2, maybe even 3 more stops between now and the end of this race. Ghost Reaper has closed down on Tazebot just a little bit, but still the gap has massively swung open in Tazebot's favor. Taze has been just a little bit better at navigating traffic than Ghost has been. Dawson continues to run in 3rd position. He is only at 44% tire wear right now, but he is running about 1/3 of a lap behind your leader, SRD Shredder. Shredder is at 56% tire wear right now, so he is going to likely be paying the next few laps. I imagine Savage Speeder will be joining him the same lap, or he might hit a lap earlier. So again, I do think it is very oh, Learart has gotten by JDM Culture. So JDM Culture seems to be struggling right now, navigating traffic. He's going to have to pit sooner rather than later. His tires don't have a lot of life left on them, but he's likely going to try and stay out long enough to get back onto the lead lap. And Learart is going to duck into the pits now out of 4th position. So that will put JDM back into 5th, but here comes Tazebot. Tazebot trying to run him down. Tazebot, I don't know if Tazebot realizes that JDM Culture is no longer on a potential race winning strategy or not, but he is racing JDM Culture like he is still on a potential race winning strategy. And he'll clear him with no issue whatsoever. Ghost Reaper's just a little bit farther back. He's going to have to deal with 2, maybe even 3 more cars before he catches him. Oh, Savage Speeder has just been passed by Dawson. So I think Savage may have just pushed these tires a little bit farther than he needs to. SRD Shredder paying out the lead. But yeah, Savage Speeder is going way deeper on this tire run than I think he needs to. Dawson's staying out a little bit longer. Shredder has pitted this time by. So Dawson is going to go back into the lead of this race now. Savage Speeder still runs second, but now he's going to be hemorrhaging time. He's got to come this lap, I would imagine. He's just going to continue to hemorrhage time. Also, with Shredder now pitting, all of a sudden our top 6 drivers are all now on the lead lap now. Big question I'm going to have is that Dawson, he is continuing to run these much, much slower, much more reserved laps right now, not really burning up the tires at all. Does he still have the ability to turn up the pace later if he ends up in a position where he has to run down another driver? There he is. You can see Dawson is clear Shredder, so Shredder is still a lap down. Goes from a lead to being a lap down to Dawson. Savage Speeder now pitting out of the second spot. So we'll see him go back to being a lap down. Dawson is your leader once again. Taysbot runs 21 seconds off of Dawson right now, and Taze is going to have to pit very shortly as well. So the strategies are, as they have continued to play out longer and longer, because Taze and Ghost Reaper have made so many extra stops because they will not run. They've only ran 1 stint on the mediums. All their other stints have been softs. While they have continued to be some of the fastest drivers, they are poised to maybe finish this race a lap down to who I think is likely going to win this event, Dawson. So this might not go well for Taze or Ghost Reaper. As Savage Speeder pits, we are now back to only having 4 drivers on the lead lap here. JDM Culture runs around in 4th position now. Still has not yet hit the 50% mark on that right front, while everyone else on track ahead of him is well past that. This is SRD Shredder. He has now put on new tires. I believe it's likely mediums. Again, Shredder has routinely been under-fueling. Most other drivers have been putting a full fuel tank in. Shredder has been routinely putting in less than a full fuel tank. He is trying to get the advantage of having a little bit less weight in the car. That means that will be a little bit less weight that the engine has to push forward when you get onto the throttle. It also means that you don't have to deal with as much centrifugal force through the corners. That is normally a significant advantage, and I think that is the big advantage that Shredder is trying to push for here. Still, I think when it comes down to it, between Shredder and Dawson, I do believe that Dawson is on a race-winning strategy right now. I think Shredder is in a position where he might end up ahead of Dawson near the end, but Shredder might either have to make an extra pit stop, or he may be on harder tires than Dawson near the end, and Dawson may be able to run down and beat him there. Taysbot and Ghost Reaper are now pitting out of the 2nd and 3rd positions on the track. So this will now cycle JDM Culture back up into 2nd place on circuit. SRD Shredder pulling up right behind Dawson here. Again, Dawson still has yet to pit. He's only at 55% tire life. He could stay out for a little bit longer. When they come across the line, it will be about 70, 71 laps left in the race. If Dawson went ahead, pitted, and put on a set of hard tires and just nursed those tires to the end, he would be good to the end. He might not have to pit again. Now, 70 laps on a fuel tank, 70 laps on a set of tires, hard tires at that, would not be ideal, but if he does not have to pit again, that could massively swing the balance of the rest of this race. Shredder has gotten by and is well clear of Dawson now, but again, I think Dawson might be able to throw on hards and not pit again, and if we stay green to the end, that could be a significant advantage in strategy in his favor. Still, he has not pitted. We might see JDM Culture pit before Dawson with the way this is going. Dawson is doing as much as he can to just preserve tire life right now. He still has not hit the 60% mark. Again, I think Dawson could probably put a full fuel tank in, some hard tires, and go to the end. Every extra lap he's staying out now is one less lap he'll have to worry about on hard tires later. Now he's being harassed by Taysbot as Taze is trying to get back onto the lead lap. Dawson's going to hold the inside. He's going to try and force Taze to take the long way around. But Taze has a gigantic tire advantage. If he's going to make an outside overtake stick, this would be a time. And yes, Taze will make the outside line overtake stick without issue this time by. It's the number 11 of Duke now trying to get a lap back as well. And just behind them is Ghost Reaper. And Ghost Reaper is now going to go by. So Ghost Reaper gets by Dawson much easier. Duke still trying to get one of his laps back. Again, Duke had been one of the faster drivers early in the event, but something forced him to lose a lap earlier. I'm not sure if he was involved in an accident that I missed, or if he crashed coming into pit lane, or what, but that has put him an extra lap down. So while he is running fast laps, he has not been able to do anything. Shredder has now overtaken JDM Culture on track. And again, JDM Culture almost at 60% tire life. But he won't go back in the lead. It will be Shredder goes back in the lead. Still, 62.8 right now for Dawson. He's still out here. Again, every extra lap he's staying out now is one lap less he has to worry about if he wants to throw on hard tires and run hard tires to the end. Another possibility, if he keeps doing this, he might try mimicking this exact run. He might throw on another set of medium tires instead. Now again, the mediums would be very cooked, but he might try to stretch this out as long as he can, put on a set of medium tires and try and make the medium tires go as long as he can. If you look at it, he's got 22 seconds over second place right now, SRD Shredder. Shredder has gone full pace. Dawson is going for full tire strategy. If Dawson is able to make the stick, he might be able to cut out an entire pit stop between himself and SRD Shredder. It's going to be interesting to say the least. The big thing, though, is that Dawson is going to have to continue to run this slow pace. He will not be able to really push at all, because if he starts pushing, he runs the risk of going too hard into the tire life. He is still maintaining a good gap between himself and JDM Culture, who is also, I think, trying to do a similar strat. I think JDM Culture and Dawson both are trying to just stay out on these tires as long as possible, hoping that they can throw on some hards. And here comes JDM now. So we know that JDM Culture can go to the end of this race on hard tires. He's done about 50 to 60 laps before. He would be asked to go about 63 laps this time by. If JDM Culture is just a little bit cautious, I think he could go to the end on hards. Dawson, though, continuing to stay out on very old tires. He's at 67% right now. But again, the longer this is going on, the more confident I am that Dawson is going to pull this win out, not off of strategy, but off of cutting out one pit stop against SRD Shredder and 2 pit stops compared to the likes of Tazebot and Ghost Reaper. Although Shredder is tearing up the gap between himself and Dawson, Shredder basically has to run Dawson down, pass him, and then he'll have to do that a second time when Shredder makes another stop. There is no way that Shredder, on the tires that he is on, is going to make it to the end. He is going to have to pit one more time. So right now, with Dawson and Shredder both pitting one more time in this race, Shredder is behind Dawson by 16 seconds. And, well, now 15 seconds. He is tearing out about a third to 2/3 of a second a lap. It's all kind of coming down to traffic management. But Shredder has to maintain this pace all the way to the end. I don't know if he's going to be able to make that work. Shredder's going to have a pace advantage to the end, but Dawson has a gigantic track position advantage. You look at them on track, there is a half-lap difference right now between Dawson and Shredder. And Shredder ends up with an even bigger advantage when he is in clean air. We only have 16 cars of our 18 that started still here on track. Oh, here comes the 27. And Dawson pits. Dawson is going to pit. It's 60 laps to go. So Dawson is pitting now. And again, I anticipate that Dawson could put on some hard or maybe even medium tires and not have to worry about pitting again. So Ghost Reaper has gotten by Tazebot by a moderately significant margin. I keep focusing more on Shredder or Dawson because that seems to be the fight for the outright win here. But Taze and Reaper are still in contention here for a potential top 5, if not podium. But they are both running consistently a lap down now. I just don't see any way that Ghost or Taze are able to make this work unless we start getting some yellow flags and they can cycle back onto the lead lap, because they do have a significant pace advantage over the rest of the field. Okay, so after that pit stop was over, Dawson still has not come out of pit lane. Now he's out of pit lane. He is 23 seconds behind Shredder. It's going to take him a little bit longer. You can see Shredder coming out onto the straightaway behind Dawson here. Dawson only has a few seconds between himself and Shredder. But again, the big thing is that Shredder basically has to run down Dawson, trap him a lap down before Shredder makes his next pit stop. Otherwise, Dawson's getting up with such a massive advantage on track that there's not going to be anything that Shredder will be able to do. Shredder has to run Dawson down, put him a lap down, and try to open up as much of a gap on him as possible. We're right on board Shredder. That car right ahead is Dawson. These two are on alternate strategies. Shredder is pushing. Dawson is trying to lay back and save tires and fuel. We do not believe that Dawson will have to pit again if this race stays green to the end. Shredder, we are almost guaranteed will have to pit one more time before the end of this race. The other question, of course, is going to be what tires does Shredder put on the run to the end? He's ran most of this race on medium tires. He did run the opening stint on soft, but he's done most of this race on medium tires. We know that Shredder can make tires last longer if he wants, but he has given up that advantage that he had earlier. He is going for pure pace. He is closing down on Dawson. Ghost Reaper is back on the lead lap right now. He's opened up a gigantic gap on TazeBot. Taze is the driver right behind Shredder right now. So, these three drivers here, Shredder, Dawson, Taze, although Taze is the extreme outlier and I don't see his strategy working, these are the three of the four drivers fighting for the overall win right now, all on significantly different strategies at the moment. Shredder needs to catch Dawson, put him a lap down, and then open up a gap on Dawson before he makes a stop, so that way he doesn't have to worry about losing as much ground to Dawson. Taze needs to get by both of these guys and do it quickly. Shredder is now right behind Dawson. He needs to clear that CVS pharmacy machine quickly. He's going to go to the inside, side by side between Dawson and Shredder will put the 96 a lap down. And now TazeBot will follow through. So TazeBot is now right behind Shredder. Taze needs to get back onto the lead lap as he has now cleared Dawson. So Taze outside, Shredder on the inside. 00 putting the bumper to the 10 there. Oh my goodness, Shredder is just destroying Dawson. He has pulled already a gigantic gap on Dawson already. It did not take him any time whatsoever. And mind you, Shredder is being harassed here by TazeBot. And meanwhile, while TazeBot is struggling to get by Shredder, this is going to let Ghost Reaper continue to open the gap on him. And then there is also Savage Speeder, who's running around in second, about 10 seconds off of Shredder right now. I don't think Savage Speeder has the pace to get into a race-winning position, but Savage Speeder, I think, is on track for a top 3, if not a top 2 finish right now, which would be a tremendous run for him. Okay, we are back to 4 drivers on the lead lap now, and one of them is not Dawson, but Dawson can still see Shredder. As long as Dawson can still see Shredder on track, it should still go well in his favor going forward. Again, when Shredder pits, Dawson will go back onto the lead lap. We might see Dawson get back into the lead as well. The big thing is, Shredder should have a significant tire and pace advantage to the end. We are betting that Dawson will not pit again. We are betting that everyone else on track has one more stop to make to the end as our leader comes across the start-finish line. It is 51 laps left here at Eagle Rock. Visible rocket coming out of pit lane. Only our top 4 drivers running on the lead lap right now, but the driver in 5th is the one who I think has a shot at winning this. The thing is, though, that Shredder is showing some significant pace right now. If he can open up enough of a gap between himself and Dawson at the moment, when he comes out of the pit lane, he may be relatively close to Dawson, might be able to run him down and clear him without too much issue. There is a very distinct possibility of that happening. Savage Speeder could end up being kind of an interesting silent wild card here. If either Shredder or Dawson's strategies go bad, Savage Speeder could easily take home second. I don't think he's in a position to fight for the win, but he could easily take home second, which would be tremendous. And then again, we have this fight between Ghost Reaper and TazeBot that has gone back and forth, but Ghost Reaper has opened up a tremendous gap on TazeBot recently here. Real quickly, looking at our leader, SRG Shredder, how much longer until he makes a stop? He's at 45% tire life right now. So Shredder's going to be in an interesting position. If he can get to about lap 210 on this set of tires, he could probably pit, throw on a set of mediums. His mediums would be hurting near the end, but he could probably pit in about 7 or 8 laps and not have to worry about putting on another set of tires later. I look real quickly now at Savage Speeder, who is running in second. 43%. His tire positions are not as strong as Shredder's. Now look at Ghost Reaper, who is flying around the track in 3rd spot right now, but his tires are very deeply cooked. He needs to stay out for a little longer just to put some mediums on, or he could elect to pit for some softs now and then make another stop later, but that strategy has hurt him so much. I don't see him committing to that. Getting very racy there with some lap traffic. Learart has also gone ahead and pitted as well now. TazeBot is just barely ahead of SRD Shredder right now. He has not scooted away from Shredder in the same way that Ghost Reaper did. All right, we are going to go ahead and knock out a Twitch-mandated ad break. When we come back, we are anticipating we will see our leaders make stops. Ghost Reaper pits now. We'll be back momentarily here at Eagle Rock. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, welcome you back here to Eagle Rock. Tazebot runs in third, just a little bit ahead of your leader, SRD Shredder. But as this race continues, I have to wonder, has the momentum started to shift again? For a long time, I felt like Dawson was the driver in the catbird seat here. But SRD Shredder, while he does have to pit one more time, and Dawson does not, the gap between Shredder and Dawson on track is close enough that while Dawson will likely end up back on the lead lap and ahead of Shredder, I do think that Shredder is going to have such a gigantic tire advantage over Dawson. He may be able to run Dawson down and overtake him on track for this win in the final 20 laps or so. The momentum might be swinging back in SRD Shredder's favor once again. We have only had one yellow flag in this event. That was around lap 45 for a two-car incident further back in the pack. Technically a one-car incident where a driver who had been leading on alternate strategy, JDM Culture, got knocked and shunted into the wall, damaged the car. That has been the only yellow flag we have ran about 160 laps green since then. And our top three drivers, Shredder, Savage Speeder, and Tazebot, still all have yet to make what we believe will be their final stop. Fourth place, Dawson, 14, we believe will not make another stop in this race. And then you have fifth place here, JDM Culture, who's been bouncing between a lot of alternate strategies, none of them really working very well. He's going to have to make another stop as well. No one else is really in any kind of contention for a top five until you get back here to Ghost Reaper, who went ahead. He's already committed to making a stop. He has likely put on, I imagine, a set of medium tires to try and go for track position. Tazebot's going to try and go for fresher tires to the end. Your leader, SRD Shredder, is in the pits. So the lead of the race will go back in favor of Savage Speeder. Also, Dawson will get back onto the lead lap. JDM Culture will get back on the lead lap briefly. Taylor Weiler will get one of his laps back for a moment as well. But Savage Speeder is now back on the lead, back into the lead of this race. Speeder has been struggling trying to make these strategies on these tires work, but he looks like he will be on a decent set of tires to the end. Shredder still in pit lane. So Dawson has now gotten back on the lead lap, but he is still behind SRD Shredder. Shredder rolling down pit lane right now. Here comes Dawson. He's wrapping around the outside. You couldn't see it there, but Dawson is now overtaken Shredder on track. The big thing to remember, Dawson does not have to pit again. Shredder will not have to pit again either. Dawson has a gigantic track position advantage now over Shredder. Shredder is going to have a tremendous tire life advantage against Dawson. Shredder only has to go about 36 laps to the end here. I don't think that's enough for him to confidently go to the end on soft tires. He might if he really wants to, but if he's put on medium tires, he can definitely run Dawson down. Second place, Tazebot, now going ahead and jumping in the pits. Savage Speeder staying out a little longer. I think Savage is going to try and stay out as long as he can So when he finally does make a stop, he can throw on some soft tires. That is Shredder. Oh, huge impact. That's a 79 with a big incident back there on the straightaway. And that was Gen 3 LS who is limping. The rear of the car is destroyed. Is that going to be a yellow flag? Shredder gets by. Savage Speeder. Is this a caution? I believe we are under the yellow flag. Yes, we are under the yellow flag here at Eagle Rock with about 33 laps to go. So everyone can go ahead, pit, put in some soft tires. The big thing, though, is that we only have 3 drivers on the lead lap. That is Savage Speeder, Dawson 14, and SRD Shredder. But Taylor Weiler's going to get back on the lead lap. Ghost Reaper is going to get back on the lead lap. Tazebot's going to get back on the lead lap. And then everyone from 7th on back will likely get a lap back under this. So we're likely going to only have 6 drivers on the lead lap here as we're preparing for a restart. But this is going to be fantastic news for Savage Speeder and Dawson. They can get onto some fresh, soft tires. For SRD Shredder, I don't know what his strategy is going to be. Does he stay on this set of tires to inherit the race lead, or does he go ahead and pit to put on some softs? We're likely going to be going green with about 27 or so laps to go in this event. That would be enough to let soft tires run you to the end. The tires would fall off a bit, but they would have a gigantic pace advantage. I don't know. If Shredder put on soft tires when he pitted earlier, he'll be fine. His tires will have a little bit more wear, but he'll be fine. If he's on mediums, though, I imagine he would have to consider pitting. The other thing, though, is that Shredder is way, way behind the rest of the field right now. The field still has not fully grouped up. Savage Speeder going to come into the pits this time, and Dawson will join him as anticipated. SRD Shredder, does he pit this time? No, he is staying out. So Shredder is going to stay out on the tires that he had just put on. So he's going to be at a slight tire disadvantage. Again, we do not know what tire compound he has. If he is on softs or mediums, he'll get track position advantage over Dawson and Savage Speeder. But that will likely be it. Taylor Weiler, Ghost Reaper, and Tazebot have all gotten back on the lead lap, but they're all well behind the leaders right now. This is going to be a very long yellow flag session. There's just no way around that. Okay, oh, and now Shredder pits. So I'm guessing they're counting that Shredder was not on the lead lap, so he has to pit now a lap later along with everyone else who was a lap down. So this is likely going to keep Shredder on the lead lap, but Ghost Reaper, Taylor Weiler, and Tazebot will likely go back to being a lap down again here. So who is going to go into the lead after this? It will be Savage Speeder, who is leading with about 31 laps to go here at Eagle Rock, and it will be Dawson who will be second. And now, with those drivers having pitted, SRD Shredder is going to end up with tires that are going to be equal to what Savage and Dawson have. There will not be a pace issue going on here. These 3 will be the only 3 drivers on the lead lap, I imagine, unless they let Ghost Reaper, Taylor Weiler, Tazebot, Lear, and JDM Culture rush around. I don't think they will. I could be wrong, but I don't think they will. We're going to try and knock out a Twitch ad break as they are trying to get the field reordered here. Dawson's pitting again? Yeah, Dawson just pitted again. Why is Dawson pitting again? That's going to put him behind Shredder, I think. Yeah, why did he pit again? Oh, he wants the inside line, and he's trying to force Shredder to get trapped on the outside. So I imagine Dawson's just going to shove Savage Speeder going into the corner and try and force both Savage and Shredder to both wash up high in 1 and 2 on this restart when we finally get it going. So they did let Taylor, Dawson, and Taze get back onto the lead lap, but this is going to take forever to gather the field up here. Oh, so Learart's getting his lap back. JDM Culture's getting a lap back. What about Duke? I don't think he'll get his lap back. No, he's got one lap back. He's not getting any more back. Okay. Well, the thing is, though, that after Dawson has made the... Well, no, they like to circle the people who are already on the lead lap back ahead of the people who are a lap down. So, yeah, I think Dawson's still going to end up third. This is going to be like a 25-lap sprint to the end here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Eagle Rock. We are still under a very long yellow flag period as the field is trying to get gathered back up. It looks like I think we're going to have 7 drivers on the lead lap to the end here. Savage Speeder is your leader. Dawson had been second, but he elected to pit again. And then, using the rules of the series, he cycled back into third position. Why has he done that? Well, now, SRD Shredder on the restart will be trapped on the outside. Dawson will be on the inside. So, oh, and Duke's dropped out. Duke has just dropped out of the event. Oh, and the leaders are all pitting again. All 3 of our leaders are pitting again. Why is this? Curiouser and curiouser, but this will now put Taylor Weiler out in front and Ghost Reaper and Tazebot. But again, those drivers were a lap down before the yellow, and rules state that they can't be ahead of these people here. I do not understand these rules sometimes. So coming out of pit lane, it's still Savage, Shredder, and Dawson. So no change between these 3. Savage will still have the inside line. Shredder will still be trapped on the outside, and Dawson will be on the inside. Now we have drivers trying to drive backward on... I do not understand what is going on right now. So Ghost Reaper is your leader now. Mind you, he was a lap down before. And we are... I guess we're under a red flag. This is going to be a very long, prolonged period here of trying to figure out the order. Yeah, I guess we're just under this prolonged red flag period now as they're trying to get the field ordered back up. But again, it does look like our top 3 are guaranteed. It is going to be Savage Speeder in first, SRD Shredder second, Dawson in third. I think Dawson, if he can pick the pace up, I think Dawson is going to be in a catbird seat here. The wild card is going to be Ghost Reaper in fourth, and then Tazebot, who I guess is way farther down the order. Oh, no, Tazebot will be fifth. The problem is that Ghost Reaper and Tazebot have been the fastest drivers all day, and due to the way that the yellow flag rules work in this series, they will now line up 4th and 5th on the lead lap with tires just about as fresh as our top 3. So I think anyone in the top 5 could win it, but I really think that we could be looking at Tazebot going back-to-back victories here. Interestingly, just before that yellow flag, I was saying it looked like the momentum of the race was swinging back in Shredder's favor, and then Savage Speeder might, if those guys behind him all get into each other and they can't stop fighting, Savage Speeder might be able to steal a victory here. He has been putting on a tremendous run today. Taylor Weiler's going to be back on the lead lap. JDM Culture's back on the lead lap. Learart's back on the lead lap. Quinibo's back on the lead lap. So it looks like we have 9 drivers who will be on the lead lap when we finally get going here. But this is a very long end here as we are under a red flag, not for an instant on track, but just because the field was so spread out, it was likely going to take them about 30 more laps just to get the field ordered up. Oh, and now they're letting drivers get another lap back. Why are these drivers have already gotten 2 or 3 laps back? I do not understand why they are getting another one. So one driver has been allowed to get a lap back, apparently. Okay. And that is PRG Black. So Black will be 10th. He will be the last driver. One lap down here. So that should be everyone. We should see them good to go without issue here. And since they're already doubled up, I imagine there's not going to be a waiting period, a pace lap. I imagine they'll go right away. Why does that matter? Well, real quickly, I want to show you in these cool temperatures, these tires are rapidly cooling off. There's just not a lot of heat in the rubber, and these drivers are going to have to be firing off into turn one on very, very cold tires. I do not have a lot of confidence in the drivers near the front of the field, or really anywhere in the field, being ready to go here. PRG Black here just ran around. His tires only have about 50% more degrees in temperature. They're still cold, but that will be a slight advantage, but he'll be at the very back. So yeah, everyone's going to be restarting on very cold tires, but pit stops should not matter to the end. And here we are, they start rolling, so it will be green flag here. Savage Speeder is your leader, but I want to keep an eye on SRD Shredder and Dawson 14. I think that Dawson, by willfully giving up a position, by making an extra pit stop during all that confusion, has turned this into a strategy masterclass. I think he is fast enough to outrun Savage Speeder, and he can catch Shredder trapped on the outside. Green flag, we are underway. No, we're not. Are we? We are underway. Wow, we are underway. And Shredder immediately cut down in front of Dawson. And all right, so we went green. I didn't think we were. That was a very messy start, but we went green. And now Shredder has gone to the inside of Savage Speeder. Contact between the number 8 and the number 10. Side by side as they come back onto the start-finish straightaway. Once again, drag race across the line. Savage on the outside still leads, but Shredder fires it up on the inside. Shredder gets into him. He's all sorts of sideways, and that lets Dawson get to his inside. Shredder has just shown no capability of actually fighting other drivers on track, and now Shredder is hemorrhaging positions. Self-inflicted mistakes, and Shredder is now likely going to lose a top 5 position. So Savage Speeder leads. Now Dawson is the driver in second, and Ghost Reaper, one of the fastest drivers all day, is now up into the 3rd spot here. Again, everyone here is on equal tires. I think Ghost Reaper has a serious shot of stealing this victory here. But he has to get by 2 drivers. Dawson is definitely faster than Savage Speeder. Will he be able to do anything to get alongside him, though? Taylor Weiler up in 4th. Shredder has fallen out of the top 5 all the way back to 6. One self-inflicted mistake, completely self-inflicted, and it's gone. His top 5 run is gone, and that will likely derail his championship hopes because Taysbot, who is your elite points leader, is well ahead of him on track right now. Now the gap between Savage Speeder and Dawson is down to less than 2/10. Any moment, we'll see Dawson try to make the move. How aggressively does he try to get by? If he goes too aggressively, he runs the risk of doing the same thing that Shredder does, getting wide and falling back a bunch of positions. Ghost Reaper is just a little bit behind them as well. And Taylor Weiler, I said earlier, he's looking to try and turn around what had been a rough day at Daytona. He's running top 5 right now. Here comes Dawson to the inside of Savage Speeder. They'll be side by side as they come out of turn number 2. Drag race down the back straightaway, but Dawson has the preferred line of choice on the inside. There's nothing that Savage Speeder is going to be able to do. Instead of just coming down, they make contact. Dawson is sideways, but Dawson will slide and complete the overtake on Savage Speeder. Dawson goes to the lead. Savage Speeder now comes back up behind Dawson. Dawson defends the inside. Savage goes to the outside. Ghost Reaper is right there behind both of them. Now Ghost Reaper gets to the inside of Savage Speeder. Savage has nothing he can do. Savage falls behind Ghost Reaper. Now Ghost Reaper is right there on Dawson. Ghost Reaper is in one of the 2 fastest drivers all day today. Dawson trying to defend the inside. Ghost Reaper looks slow, but he's not going to force the issue. Dawson leads. Ghost Reaper now is going to fall back about a car length as he tries to close back in on the 96. When they come across the line, it will be 20 laps to go. There is all sorts of sideways action going on here. Taylor Weiler is now at the top 3. Taysbot now gets by Savage Speeder. He goes up to the 4th position. Now Shredder's going to try and follow suit. He wants to try and get back to the inside of Savage Speeder. He will get by the inside of Savage Speeder now. So Shredder is going, no, he is not. He's still not by Savage Speeder. Speeder gets back on Taysbot. Now Shredder pulls up alongside. Can he clear him now? Now Shredder cracks back into the top 5 positions. At the front, Dawson is doing everything he can to try and keep Ghost Reaper behind. Dawson has shown a lot of capability, a lot of potential all day today. He has been aggressive when he needs to. He's been reserved when he doesn't need to be aggressive. But Ghost Reaper has legitimately been one of the fastest drivers all day today. With less than 20 laps to go, this could be a Herculean defensive drive, but it's going to be at least 10 minutes, it will feel like, of this. Dawson, this is going to be the longest 10 minutes of your life. You need to hold on. Ghost Reaper is still right there behind Dawson. He puts the bumper in the number 96 again. He gives him another shove in the middle of the corner. Now a third shove. It's not enough to force that 96 off of the ideal line around here. Top 5 all within a second of each other. If the top 2 end up in an instant, it could really upend how this race goes to the end here. It's definitely just Dawson versus Ghost Reaper. Taysbot, who led a big chunk of the race early, is stuck in 4th behind Taylor Weiler. He's not been able to get around Taylor yet. SRD Shredder runs a little bit farther back from that duo, but he has not shown the pace of Dawson, Ghost, or Taze now. Now Taze gets to the inside of Taylor Weiler, side by side for the final step on the podium. That 00 committing to the inside. Can he clear the 87 this time? He's not cleared him yet, but he does have the inside line. This position should come to him eventually, and it has. Taysbot, who started on the pole, is now back into the 3rd position. He may not be out of this yet. Now Shredder is going to try and pull up alongside Taylor Weiler as he is desperately trying to recover, but he's going to make a little bit of contact with the 87. Side by side between this duo again. Still side by side as they come onto the straightaway. Taysbot is going to start scooting away. Taylor Weiler doing a good job maintaining 3rd position right now. But at the front, it is still Ghost Reaper right there behind Dawson. Still nose to tail between these two. They go down the back straightaway again. No big moves from Ghost Reaper, not this time. All these drivers are on the same tires, I would imagine. Tire heat is not an issue at this point. Everyone's got the tires nice and warmed up. 31% right now for Dawson. For Ghost Reaper, who's now looking to the outside, he is at 41%. So Ghost is on tires that are much more worn than Dawson right now. Dawson is trying to back Ghost Reaper up, force Ghost Reaper to burn up his tires, so Dawson and just hold on and let this race come back to him. Now we see Shredder again trying to look to the inside of Taylor Weiler farther back there, but he just does not have the speed. I think of our top 5, I think Shredder is probably our 4th fastest, but he's not fast enough to outright beat Taylor here. Ghost Reaper still behind Dawson, but those tires are burning up fast. He's already at 44% tire life. Dawson, who is leading, he's been a master at balancing pace with tire life. He has tires that are 10% less worn right now. And now Ghost Reaper is starting to lose ground to Dawson. Here comes Taysbot, who is in 3rd position. Taze has tires that are better off than Ghost, but still worse than Dawson. So will Taze have what it takes to try and make something happen to Dawson? I think our fastest 2 drivers all day, Ghost and Taze, are going to get snookered out of a win, because even with a late race yellow, they just cannot match Dawson's sheer strategic ability today. Savage Spears now gets back by Shredder as Shredder continues to not be able to perform when it comes to driver-on-driver combat today. Shredder's only ability has shown when he is running solo and the field is spread out. Every time he has had to fight mano-a-mano on a driver, he ends up the loser. Taylor Weiler in 4th, watching the top 3. But it looks like, unless something crazy happens, Dawson has this race win in the bag. The fight is going to be for the 2nd and 3rd steps on the podium. Taylor Weiler still running here in 4th, but those tires are at 42%. He's not exactly looking great right now. Dawson continuing to just back the pace down so he can continue to manage those tires. He's at 43% tire life, but we are with 10 laps to go. It will be 9 to go when they come across the line this time. He'll be fine. Tires will not be an issue for him. The same cannot be said for everyone from 2nd on back. Ghost Reaper is already at 54% tires. Taze is right behind him. Now Taze looks to his inside. Taze, if he doesn't win this, a 2nd place finish would be great, because that would vault him into a massive commanding lead in the points over everyone else. And Taze has now cleared Ghost Reaper. Now Ghost Reaper is going to be under threat from Taylor Weiler now. But Taylor is still struggling with Shredder. Shredder's finally gotten back by Savage Speeder. JDM Culture is way back there in 7th, but nowhere close to the top group. Now Shredder looks back to the inside of Taylor, now to the outside. Still can't do anything. The number 10 puts the bumper to the 87. These three still have not caught Ghost Reaper, even though Ghost Reaper's tires are absolutely cooked here. Shredder looks to the inside of Taylor Weiler again. Side-by-side contact. Finally, Shredder I think, will get by. But still, what could have been a fight for the win, he got to a side-by-side fight with Savage Speeder for the lead earlier, and then multiple self-inflicted slides took him out of it. And again, Shredder leaving the inside line open when he doesn't need to. And Taylor Weiler's coming back, and now they've caught Ghost Reaper. Ghost going to defend the inside, and he's pitting. Ghost is pitting, so Ghost is not going to finish on the lead lap. His tires are too cooked. So now Shredder cycles back into the podium positions. Taysbot runs behind Dawson, but Tays has a tire disadvantage to Dawson. It is 6 laps to go right now. The top two are over a second ahead of third place. So it is Shredder, Taylor Weiler, and Savage Speeder having a fight for third. It is Dawson and Taysbot stalking each other for a lead. But I do not see a single world in that where Taysbot is going to be able to get by Dawson unless he absolutely ships it into the corner and just tries to give Dawson the dump and run in these final few laps. Still nose to tail with about a car length between our top two. Third, fourth, and fifth all running right on top of each other. None of these drivers seem to have the ability to get away from each other right now, but Shredder finally has gotten back by them. It takes so long, but Shredder does seem to be able to make fights work if it's not on a restart, but immediately on a restart and about the 10 laps after a restart, he just seems to hemorrhage positions. Finally, he's rebounded to third, but the leaders are about a second up the road, and with 4 laps to go, I see no chance that Shredder catches him. It is going to be Tays versus Dawson to the end, and I'm looking at Dawson's tires. He's at 61% tire life. I look at Dawson's tires, who is your leader. He's only at 59%. Dawson is starting to burn up that tire advantage to try and stay ahead of Tays. He still has a very slight tire advantage, but both of our leaders are absolutely tearing their tires up right now. Now it is 3 laps to go that they come across the line. Shredder now has a tire advantage over our top two, but the gap might still be too big. I don't think he's going to be able to catch them because even if he has a tire advantage, there's just not enough track to just blow by them easily. When they come to the line, it will be 2 laps to go. Tays still cannot do anything to Dawson, as our top two have finally shown, once again, their maximum pace. And there is just nothing to indicate that Tays can do anything to Dawson. Shredder is now within 3/4 of a second of the lead, but he is moving too little too late. Taysbot just needs to hold on to second. He will open up his points gap over SRD Shredder. Dawson still leads, and now Tays is starting to hemorrhage time to Dawson. Tays is now a 1/3 of a second out. Shredder has come up behind the 00. The 00 and the 10 were neck and neck, side by side across the line at Daytona for the win. And they're side by side coming across the line to the white flag here. Shredder is going to move up into the second position over Taysbot. No momentum in the championship now between the two. Well, might go just a little bit in Shredder's favor. Dawson still leads by a 1/3 of a second over SRD Shredder, though. There is no chance for Shredder to catch them. I think Dawson just has to not miss this corner, and he'll bring home not an easy win, but a fantastic strategic win. Shredder pulls up right behind the number 96. He'll look to the inside, but there's not enough room, and Dawson will take home the win here at Eagle Rock. SRD Shredder second, Taysbot in third. He'll maintain his points lead. Taylor Weiler fourth, Savage Spear with a very solid 5th position. JDM Culture will be 6th. It looks like it's Lear Art in 7th. PRG Black recovers from his accident earlier for 8th. Quinibo will be 9th, and I think it will be Ghost Reaper in 10th. We are going to knock out a Twitch-mandated ad break, and when we come back, we will get post-race interviews here. All right, Shredder, can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. I'm going to invite one person at a time. Yeah. Yeah.
I've cleared my thing. I'm guessing you're on that break still.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm still on that break. Give me just a second.
I'm so fucked off. You have no idea. would have won that race by 15 seconds easy with the straddles on.
Okay. And ad break will be ending shortly here. Your audio is included, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back here to Eagle Rock. We are going to start interviews with our second place finisher, SRD Shredder, because he is British and it is like 5 in the morning. He's going to need to sleep relatively shortly here. But Shredder, that was a very interesting race. The momentum seemed to go back and forth. For a long time, I thought you were going to come home second behind Dawson. Then it looked like the momentum was going to go back in your favor. Then the yellow flag came out, and you still were in position to maybe get it. And then you ended up being second behind Dawson anyway. What do you have to say about your run out there today?
I mean, the strategy I was going to do was poop softs the entire way and then just try and save as much as possible. But then I saw how well Dawson did on mediums for his first in. And essentially there was no time difference between the mediums and the softs based on just lap times. And he could also go about 15 laps longer with decent wear as well. So first caution came out, I switched to a medium strat for the end of the race. And for the final caution, I was set to win that race by about 15 seconds. So to get second, it's a disappointment, if anything, because I was guaranteed to get a win if everything played out perfectly.
That's the way it goes. You'll close down a little bit on Taysbot in the points. He'll still be lean, but you'll close down a little bit on him in the points. What are your thoughts on the championship fight going forward?
I mean, it's stuff that's happened. I mean, we've got Indy coming up, and I'm competent there, and then the rest is sort of 50-50 on what's going to happen. Can't promise anything, but I'm going to be trying the entire time.
All right, thanks for jumping in and talking with us, mate. I'll go ahead and let you get some sleep. Good job out there.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to try and reach out to our race winner here now. Driver info, show gamer card. All right, I'm going to try and interview everyone one at a time, hoping that this will keep the party from crashing like it did last week back at Daytona. I do apologize for that. Excuse me. Just standing by right now, hoping that we can get some people in here for this. All right, here we are. Coming into the party right now is Dawson14. Dawson, are you able to hear me?
10-4.
All right, in the Xbox party, there'll be a little box to hit that will say include my audio. Go ahead and hit that, please.
Yep.
All right, Dawson, fantastic victory. It looked to me like you had the winning strategy all day long, but it was a knife fight to the end, and you just barely took that home by a little bit less than a second. What do you have to say about your run out there today?
Yeah, it was a dogfight out there. You know, not everybody was on different strategies there, so it wasn't so much a dogfight, you know, fighting for position on the track. It was really just fighting for the best lap time and trying to make the best lap time to try and see whose strategy was going to work at the end. It was going to come down to me or Shredder. He was probably going to get me. I was going to be on hard tires, and they were going to be really worn at the end there if we stayed green. But that caution that came out really helped. Was able to reset the strategy, have the track position to get the soft tires, make a couple of moves, and go from there. So, yeah, that was my first time on soft tires all race, was at that last stint there at the end, and didn't know what they were going to feel like. As you saw, everybody going to that first turn was pretty tight. Everybody kind of washed up the track, but got the hang of it after a couple laps and was able to pull away there towards the victory. But Shredder was probably going to get me if we had one more lap. It was a really, really exciting finish. He was coming on strong there at the end. He has good tire savings abilities.
And that was a fantastic drive out there. Also, if my memory serves correctly, you didn't qualify very well. You were like one of the last 3 or 4 drivers at the start of this race when the grid order began. So it's not like you just, hang out in the front all day. You legitimately ran up the grid. So anything else you want to say before we let you go for the night?
That was it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us. I'm going to try and get some more invites sent out for interviews momentarily here. I'm going to try and get Savage Speeder in here, who was one of our top finishers momentarily. All right, you can back out of this party if you are done with an interview, because I'm just trying to keep the Xbox parties alive and keep them from dying. All right, so Savage Speeder has declined to do a post-race interview, so we are going to go ahead and talk with our third-place finisher, TazeBot. Taze, are you able to hear me?
I can.
In the Xbox party, there will be a little box to check that will say, awesome. All right, Taze, a win last week at Daytona. You started on the pole here today, but while you were arguably the fastest driver on track all day, it slipped away and you fell to third. What do you have to say about your run out there today?
It was a good run throughout the race. We were switching up from softs to mediums the whole time. We felt the softs were quicker, and in the long run, they would succeed, going softs to mediums, and then mediums back to softs once again. It worked out for a while. I knew Shredder's strategy was going to be better, so I was still looking at a podium. But with that caution coming out, it kind of helped everybody get back into place, get back to where they wanted to be. And whoever came down to be able to hold the line on moderate tires was able to win that race, which was awesome. And then I guess Shredder, I don't know where Shredder pulled that tire wear out of, came right behind me, told me he had a chance to win the race, so I let him by. Honestly, he kind of got by, but I was fine with the podium, so it was a good race overall.
You maintain the majority of your point lead after this event. What do you still think you're the favorite for the championship going forward?
Unfortunate news, I will not be here next week. I have a girlfriend's birthday party I have to attend to, so more than likely I will be out of the championship race and going for the wins.
All right, well, that's definitely going to shake things up then. Real quickly, I'm going to go ahead and ask, when you do finally come back, what circuits left on the schedule do you think you have the best shot to take some more victories at?
It'll 100% be the road courses. That's where I shine. If you couldn't tell at Road America, yeah, it's only right turns, but I gapped them by 20 seconds. I feel like I have the best chance out of everybody on road courses to understand how to take them and use the track advantages.
All right, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that, man. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us. It was a great run out there. Shame you couldn't, properly fight for the win a little bit stronger at the end, but that was a fantastic run you had out there from start to finish today.
Yep, thank you.
All right, back out of the party when you're done,
sir.
just so the Xbox doesn't crash on me.
No, you're good. I'll back out right now. See you later.
All right, yep. All right, we're going to try and reach out to Taylor Weiler, who was our fourth place finisher today. Just want to get word from him real quickly as to what he felt like his race was like. All right, coming into the party right now is Taylor Weiler. Taylor, are you able to hear me? Okay, in the Xbox party, there will be a little box to click that will say include my audio. Go ahead and hit that for me.
Done.
All right, Taylor, last week at Daytona, it was frustration.
It was.
You seemed to be up and down the field, spent a lot of the time involved in wrecks or way off the pace. You turned all of that around today. A fantastic run on alternate strategies. Got up into fighting for podium positions near the end. Came home with a solid 4th place. What do you have to say about your run today?
I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty optimistic at the start, but then that little incident I had with PRG Black in the pit box kind of made me feel like I might be lucky to get even a top 10 finish. So I'm really happy with the recovery drive I did. Unlapped myself a few times, so that was nice. It was definitely a nice change of pace from last week, that's for sure.
Yeah, you were also the highest finishing Chevrolet in the entire field as
neat.
well, so that's got to be pretty impressive in its
nice.
own right.
Yeah, that's good to know. Good to know. I mean, it was definitely nice beating my teammate. So
he's usually faster than me there.
Well, sometimes things work out in interesting ways. So, a fantastic run here. The next track on the schedule, if my memory serves correctly, is Indianapolis around the oval. It's another oval, but it's a faster oval. But like this circuit, it is relatively flat in the corners. Do you think you have a chance to repeat a solid run at Indianapolis?
I think I could be in for a podium finish. A lot of people struggle at Indy, especially with that last turn coming onto the pit straight. So hopefully I can, keep it out of the wall and finish on a podium. That would be really nice. Maybe even a win.
All right. Well, we'll definitely keep an eye on you for that. We'll definitely are very interested to see how things play out there. Anything else you want to say before we wrap things up here tonight?
Maybe I'll if I don't get a podium next week, maybe I'll get a fastest lap at least.
Hey, anything's a goal. Anything would be nice to say. I know how that feels. All right. Well, with that in mind, thanks for jumping in and talking with us, mate. I will go ahead and let you go for the night.
Have a great one.
And with that in mind, that'll pretty much wrap up our broadcast here from Eagle Rock. 250 laps, yet despite it all, only 2 yellow flags throughout the day with a very, very close finish. From start to end, this was quite a race to watch. I just want to say thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the future. More than likely, we will not be covering the PPRL broadcast of next week's race at Indianapolis because I will likely have other priorities, but we should be back the weekend after that. Until that time, though, I've been your host for today's broadcast, Insanely 13. Thank you very much for watching. Farewell, everyone, and goodbye.